Hi, I'm Creason.
And I'm Cynthia.
And this is Random Spirit, where we talk about random topics. What are we talking about today, Cynthia?
Today, we will be speaking on a movie. We'll be reflecting on a movie called Inside Out. Mm-hmm. Disney? Pixar?
It's Pixar, Disney. They're almost one and the same, but Pixar's the one with
Okay,
those
so
movies.
hold on. This is a dumb, really fucking dumb quote. But, what's the difference between Pixar and Disney?
So Pixar started off with Toy Story, and they're the ones that did the computer animated stuff first.
Oh, okay,
and
okay,
Disney
okay.
was more traditional with the 2D art, and then after they took Pixar, then they started to do 3D art
so now
with
they
their
just
movies.
merged.
Yeah, so Disney was originally the Disney princesses. That's usually what everyone knows them for.
All right. Okay, cool. So
yeah.
Pixar. Fucking great. Okay. So we will be going over the movie Inside Out. It's a fucking great movie.
I love that movie.
It really is.
Favorites.
Creason and I love it. It is about emotions. It connects with, I feel like it connects with spirituality.
It does.
Mm-hmm.
So I suppose a good explanation for, emotions and spirituality is this. For one, spirituality is all about feeling. Emotions is how you feel.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's very linked. Usually meditation and all those other things that we do in spirituality, which is, is trying to connect with oneself. And part of connecting oneself is understanding the emotions that you've got. You have to understand them all. And the reason I like this movie is that it kind of distills the emotions simply.
Yeah.
But it's a kids movie as well. And it can hit adults at the same time. I guess you could call
all their
it...
fucking movies hit adults.
It's family friendly. I mean, it's literally... That's why the genre is called, family friendly film instead of, kids movie. Because the family friendly films are for the family.
I thought that was just, family children.
Family children?
Isn't that, on Netflix? I didn't know it was family friendly.
That's what they call these films now. They have, a full genre.
I feel like I'm living under a rock, okay?
Okay, well... Time to pull up that rock and... they changed it from kids movie to family friendly because
That's
they
awesome.
realized that,
Yeah, it is a nice movie to sit down and watch with my kids. Mm-hmm. Scarlett and Alea get really into it. We had watched it every day this week. That's what I like to do when we do these episodes, just to refresh my memory and stuff like that. But yeah, Scarlett and Alea are what's gonna happen? I'm like, girl, you know what's gonna happen.
So first off, I should say that we're gonna go into spoilers a bit.
Yep.
We're gonna be talking about this movie in depth. I mean, it's kind of like our Encanto episode of where we went into
kind of not really,
but we're going a little different. We're gonna just talk it out.
Yeah. So basically, Creason's gonna explain the beginning of the movie. Kind of. We're not obviously gonna go through every just the important parts. I'll go over the last, and then there's emotions there. We'll be attacking, but speaking on the emotions and reflecting on it.
Maybe you're going to be attacking them.
Oh, shit. I'm the masculine one, yeah.
All right. So, so this movie's about this girl called Riley. They pretty much go through, I would say, from birth to when she's 11, 12 years old. They start off in Minnesota. And she grew up there. She had a hockey team, and they go through this really, really quick in the movie. She had a hockey team that she played for, and she just was living her life. And by the moment the title card comes on, that's when they go straight and they're like, oh, she's moving. And the whole movie's about, what she's going through emotionally. In the meantime, we have these emotions. We start off with joy, sadness, and then the other ones come in, which is disgust, anger, fear. They all have their own roles that they play, And we're going to go through each of them step by step of where I'll tell you what the movie says about each emotion. But it's basically showing you, like, how your emotions make you feel, what your emotions are there for, what they portray. And there's, I would say, two main characters, Riley being one, which is the person that's on the outside. But the true main character, I feel, of the film, the person that we follow the most, would be Joy. And basically, it's toxic positivity, as my friend would usually like to say, and she's trying to keep people happy, which is a good parallel to how a lot of people live their lives, really. You're always trying to go ahead and be happy inside, like, the worst of cases. Happiness is always pushed to the forward, and if you're showing any other emotion, it's sort of discouraged. But happiness is the one that really, like, people want to see all the time. They want to see you smile. They want to see you happy. So throughout the movie, it's Joy trying her best to make the best out of a bad situation, even if the situation's so bad that you're supposed to feel the other emotions during them. And the other emotions kind of have to fight her for, dominance, because everything with her is that she wants to be happy. So when they first move, they have to move to a new place, and, like, their moving van leaves. I'm going to go through slight examples. Their moving van leaves, and, it sucks because they're not, like, the girl's not going to get her stuff. So emotionally, she's feeling bad, but, Joy's coming in there, like, saying, like, you might not have her stuff, but it's going to be good. It's going to be all right. It's going to be happy. Let's go and eat something instead. So everything about this movie is about battling happiness, trying to go ahead and be happy within bad situations, and showing why that's not actually a good thing. So as the movie progresses, the weight of all of that starts to get to Riley, because, her home is not the way that her home was back home. Her hockey teams and her friends are gone. Everything comes to her friend. She goes to this new school, and she's supposed to speak in front of the class. And that's when the weight of everything kind of comes on top of her. And how that's shown in the movie, which I think is pretty unique, is Sadness starts pushing herself inside the emotions a lot more. She starts trying to go ahead and, like, she starts making mistakes and turning the emotions from whatever color they are to sad. And no matter what the people try to do, they couldn't turn them back. So they were like, man, Riley's crying, like, this is a problem. We got to fix it, and which is the main thing with sadness, is that you always have to fix it. It needs to be fixed. And in the movie, they go over core memories, which is, like, the memories that are the most important, that make the people who they are. And mostly they were happy. Like, all of them were happy because, Joy is controlling everything. So most of them, if not all of them, were happy. Well, when she cried in class and she missed all those things, it created a sad core memory. And Joy is so, like, she needs everything to be perfect for Riley, to the point that instead of letting the core memory hit the symbol, she decides to just take it out, and, like, hilarity ensues, and Sadness is trying to put it in. Joy is trying to take it away from the core, like, panel or whatever that they have. And they end up getting sucked up into, like, they end up getting, like, taken out of their headquarters and pushed into the outside brain, which is a whole adventure in itself. And I think we're at the halfway point, kind of. So
yeah, so the whole movie is basically about control, toxic positivity. And basically, Joy is the toxic one. And whether, Joy knows it or not, she's the one that caused all of this. Yeah. And then, Joy and Sadness are not in the, like, I guess you would say, like, mind or whatever. Yeah. Where, like, they have the control panels of, like, where the emotions are. So now we have disgust, fear, and anger. And yeah, it's just like a big roller coaster. And throughout the time where Joy and Sadness are trying to find their way back to headquarters, Joy realizes how important Sadness is, right? Because I like to see Joy as like a suppression. You know, she was suppressing all the other emotions. And basically, skipping all the way to the end, the other three emotions don't know like what to do, and they're like, you know, what would Joy do? And I think it was the anger was like, okay, look, everything that was happy was in Minnesota. Let's dip. So she ends up stealing her mother's credit card, rebelling, and hitching a fucking bus back to Minnesota. And that was a whole thing in itself. And that's how it was. The end of the movie don't the parents...
Yeah, like pretty much Sadness is able to get back through to Riley
Yeah.
she hits Minnesota.
Well, she stops in the middle of the bus.
Yeah.
And then did she call her parents?
No, she runs back home.
Oh, this bitch ran back home.
Yeah.
She runs back home, whatever. Yeah, and it was like a beautiful, like literally that's the whole movie.
Yeah, that is.
That's the whole movie. And hats off to the parents for their response on how they dealt with what had happened.
Yeah.
How do you think your parents would have responded that way?
Probably not. No.
They would have. Yeah. So, yeah, that's the whole movie. It's literally like, it's suppression. It's suppressing and trying to like be happy. It's that toxic positivity. And I feel like the big message is that it's okay to feel. It's okay to be sad. And I can see where, you know, like sadness can sometimes lead to like, you know, depression and stuff, right? I mean, sadness is important.
It is.
Watch the fucking movie. Like, stop suppressing.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, that's like literally the rundown of the whole movie.
So Riley is the main character of the movie. Typical girl from what I've seen. She's the person that you attach onto, you know, or at least the person that I attached onto in the movie. When it came to how the emotions were kind of, you know, moving her around. For the most part, the movie kind of pushes it that you gotta watch out for influences that you do to your kids, you know, or influences that you do in general. You know, like, for instance, you know, the mother was saying that, you know, no matter how hard things, you're my happy little girl. And that, like, enforced or reinforced the toxic positivity that was already going on. You know, she wanted or felt like this wasn't right, but due to what her mother said, she was like, you know, yeah, maybe it's good for me to go ahead and continuously be happy.
She's an only child, by the way. So.
Yeah, she is. So the thing about Riley is that, you know, feeling is difficult and not wanting to disappoint people, you know, I guess you could say it's a form of people pleasing, but I think it's very minor, you know, is a feel. Like, you want to be accepted and you want to belong. I think that need of belonging is incredibly, incredibly important, and it's the driver behind a lot of decisions that you make, you know. So, yeah, like, Riley's a great protagonist because, you know, she's just a normal kid. She kind of has, like, this tomboyish attitude of where she likes, you know, the sports and stuff, and she likes to, like, slide down rails and things like that. You know, and she's also, like, close with her parents. And, you know, she has a very good relationship with them from what we see in the movie. It's very low on very little. But, yeah, a cool tidbit about that movie that I just learned. If you look at the movie, as you're going through it, the color of her shirts actually depicts, like, what her emotions are going through at the time. And when she loses all of her emotions, her shirts actually turn black. It's actually pretty unique. I didn't notice that until I rewatched it. I got this from some thing.
Oh, yeah?
But if you look through the movie when she's acting happy, yellow. is what she wears. And then like when she doesn't know how to feel, her shirts are all colors.
Yeah.
And then when her emotions are frazzled, I think like her shirt's like even more like razzled. But all colors, and like she doesn't know like what it is, and it's interesting. Like it was a good tidbit, and lo and behold, like they always sneak stuff like that in there.
Yeah.
But yeah. What's your thoughts about Riley?
I don't even know if I have any thoughts. I can't relate to the girl. I mean, it's
She is
great.
super young.
I mean, no, but like, you know, I just feel like in a perfect world.
Yeah, I guess we could talk about how our families were.
Well,
like.
only because of the fact that in a perfect world.
In a perfect world.
In a perfect world,
like that,
because like the reaction to when she had came back home hit. I had a similar situation when I was younger. I'm not gonna really talk about it, but it was just pure silence. It was like the dead ass silent treatment, and it's like I feel like fucking like movies like this like gets me in my feels, because it's always like it's like what is it called? It's like a fantasy land. Like, oh, if like, you know, my parents were different.
Yeah.
You know? And, you know, I mean, it literally, I can't relate. And I feel so bad. Like, I can't relate to Riley. It's fucking awesome that, you know, her parents were like there, but you know, you can go on and start off.
I mean, the only thing I have to say about, like, to end this, like, my family was nothing like Riley's family. What
Same.
lacked in my family was understanding, you know? They had specific things that they wanted us to go ahead and achieve. And we didn't have much say. It was like, you know, the way that they like to push it is that, oh, we gave you guys like opportunities that nobody else would get.
Fuck.
Which in itself is a very difficult pill to eat, because as a kid, you're like, oh yeah, you know, like I gotta do this because I was given opportunities that nobody else had, you know?
That is so
And
interesting.
and the sad part about it is like the comparison. It's like, oh, you know, you don't want to be like a poor starving kid. You want to go ahead, like you have opportunities, you can eat every day. So this is why you should be able to go and do this.
Who
And
says that to a kid? You're like, my parents? Okay. Case closed.
there you go.
Case closed.
Case closed and shut. No, but that's the kind of like, you know, it makes it difficult. And as you grow up, like you realize that something's off
Yeah.
and something's wrong with what's going on. You're like, shouldn't it be the opposite? Like, shouldn't it be that my parents are trying to go ahead and help me do what I want to do better, not they're trying to go and help themselves do what they want to do better?
I feel like what I've noticed is there was possible projection,
There is.
you know? But I want to know about like the emotions in your family.
Oh.
Give me the tea. Give me the juice.
Well, I mean, from the emotion part of things. So men and women were treated differently within our household. Of course, we have more men than women, so I guess that kind of checks out.
At least you guys were treated.
Treated like what, though? I mean, there was times of where we had to share a flippin' Happy Meal, okay? So I'm not going to say it was, I mean, that's not bad.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to say it was like the best, because like, yes, my dad like made a lot of money, but he kept his money very close to the chest. So my mom, who made a tiny bit of cash, had to go ahead and scrap to go in and give us stuff outside of the school. You know, like for instance, you know, I went to Catholic school. I'm not going to say which one, but they used to have like hot lunches. And I know for like public schools, like you could get lunches all week. I don't know how the public school system works.
That's sad. Continue.
But for private school, like you have to bring your own lunch for most of the time. And like they'll only give like lunch like 2 times per week, which I think is a bad deal if you think about it, because like how is that even fair? But my mom was the one who paid for those. So what she would do is she would give us one lunch a week and make lunch the rest of the time. And yeah, like, you know, you would think that someone with privileges would get like everything that privilege hits, but it didn't kind of work that way. But back to the emotional part. To stack on top of that, layers and layers of men that we've had, pretty much all of them, had a very don't show your emotion type talk about like, oh, you know, emotions make you weak, blah, 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 blah. You have to be strong. Like, people can't see your emotion. You can't cry. You're a guy. You know, blah, you know, all of that. Friends kind of reinforced that. I was grown to not show emotion. I was grown to not cry. Crying was weakness, you know. And, you know, the only times I actually do show emotion is very rare, you know, on the outside. Like, if I feel a certain way, I would rather suppress. And the reason that this movie hits is because I suppress so much. Now, I had a sister. Luckily for her, since, you know, they were so hard on for us not showing emotions, like, you know, my sister actually was allowed to go and show emotions. She was actually encouraged. I was part of the encouragement because I knew how it felt not to show emotion, you know, and be robotic and freaking, like, have to sit there and, like, listen to sad stuff and just be completely stoic. It hits me in weird ways because, you know, like, a funeral could be happening and I wouldn't show emotion for it. Like, that's how...
Well, you didn't show emotion for your friend, right?
Yeah, like, it's bad because I'm just like, I feel sad right now, but I can't show sadness. So I kind of sit there in this robotic feeling a certain type of way, but not showing it, you know, and bottling it up. And then, like, you know, I learned recently that overthinking emotions kind of keeps them from releasing. So,
Yeah.
And me being an overthinker made it even worse.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that, you know, at least within my family, we only had like one girl in the family, you know. Well,
besides your mom.
Besides my mom, yes. So it was difficult, you know, to like, well, in the household. It was difficult for me to break out of that. I had my grandfather who said it, my dad who said it, like all the male stuff,
You
like
still
uncle,
haven't broken
like
out.
It's very difficult to break out of something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really, I can imagine.
Emotions are difficult for me. Always have been, always will be. However, you know, I mean, I am still an optimist in a lot of ways. I still feel that my joy is kind of there on the surface. Whenever I get bad news, I'm always trying to find the good, or as she says in the movie, find the fun in a bad situation. I really don't like dragging times, but I am going to say that one thing that I've learned to do during bad times is to listen a little bit more and to be there for people who are going through hardship.
Yeah.
Now, even if I have a hard time explaining my hardships, which they pop up from time to time, but I have been explaining them when they come up. I've been trying to be more open about them when my feelings change, which it's funny because I remember you and I had a conversation where you were like, Kristen, you felt one way this way and then you feel this way the next, you know, like.
I feel like the issue with you is that you don't have anyone to talk to.
I really don't.
So when, you know, I moved here and, you know, like, I had told you, like, yeah, you know, like, because you are my shoulder that I cry on. And, you know, like, everything. Yeah. So, like, in reverse, like, I knew that, like, I lacked that as a friend because, you know, your girl has 3 kids and my kids come before you. Yeah. So, like, now that I'm, like, you know, here, like, face to face with you and you express yourself, a lot of the times it's like you'll be talking about, like, you'll be talking about work.
Yeah.
And then from work, it'll get to your brother. From your brother, it'll get to what happened yesterday. And I'm just like, Kristen, what?
Yeah, if you haven't figured out between both of us, we're
all over the place.
We have a lot of the same ways of going through emotions.
But see, like, for you, I feel like you overthink, like, you use, like, I tell you that, and then you're like, ooh, and I don't know if, like, it does something to you, because, like, I know you like order, and I'm like, dude, it's okay. Like, we'll get to it. I can sometimes, like, I'll pick which issue we can talk about.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about it. But welcome to the club.
Oh my God.
Welcome to the fucking club. Oh my God. That's crazy. Wow. You guys didn't, like, show any emotion?
Yeah, like, I think all of us have that thing of just not showing emotion. It's kind of funny. So, I mean, well, today, like, this new game came out, and it brought back, like, I gave them the little clip of the video, my brother's little clip of the video of it coming on, and they're like, oh my God, I remember that when I was a kid. They're like, we should do a LAN thing and play it. But it's the happiest I've ever seen them for something so trivial in a while, because we spent a lot of our childhood doing that. But even that is rare. Like,
you guys bonded.
Yeah, when we were kids. And
well,
now
over a text.
Over a text, yes, because they're like, oh my gosh, I remember. Yeah, see, so
I do know that your older brother no, you're younger. Sorry, you're the oldest. I'm sorry. No. The Zav. He
is taller than me.
He has, like, I can semi-relate to him because he has this aggressive way of showing, like, I love you. And, like, you're sitting here like, get out, leave me. And I'm like, Creason, just hear him out. And you're like, no, I don't want to talk about this.
I really don't.
I see, like, it's interesting. Now, your other brothers, like, I don't know. But, like, with your youngest brother, I can see the love from that. Yeah. I don't even,
I know he loves me. He comes on, like a truck sometimes with his love, and sometimes his topics really irritate the living bejesus out of me, you know, because, like, I mean, his views politically is different than my views politically.
Zab likes to talk about politics.
He does, and it's divisive, and it's very divisive, you know, and then, like, he scaremongers a lot, too, which drives me crazy, because it's like,
last night?
He's like, oh, you know, this is gonna happen, that's gonna happen, this is gonna happen. I'm like, dude.
Don't. Just fucking be.
Can we stop?
Yeah.
Can we not? You know, peace. Like, I don't mind listening, but he can take it a little bit too far.
Yeah. Okay, so that was your childhood?
Mm-hmm.
My childhood. Cynthia, how was your childhood? I don't want to sit here and say my childhood was shit, but you had, like, gender roles showing emotion. You had gender roles showing emotion. We didn't. Emotion where?
That explains why your man chart is off the charts.
That explains my masculinity.
Yes. Yeah, you got so high of a score.
I'm the queen of suppressors. Like, a lot, like, I remember, like, a lot of the times, like, if there were any, like, sense of, like, emotion, like, I would just go to my room and cry by myself. Like, a lot of my childhood is blocked off, and I feel like it is for a reason. But for the most part, it was like, go to your room and, like, cry, and, like, when you're done, you can come out, you know? And yeah. It is what I mean, like, and then no, the funny thing is that growing up, that's what happened with us. And then it's like, I'm gone for, like, you know, I left home at 20? And I came back here and there. But, like, I'm back for this long period of time. It's been, like, 8 months?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it's like, why don't you show me love? I was fucking suppressing at 8 years old. Like, what are you talking about? I didn't show love then. What makes you think I'm gonna show love now? Like, you told me to go to my room.
That's true.
So now, when I, like, get triggers and stuff, that's what I do. Like, I need a safe space, and a lot of the times in Virginia, that was my car, or my mother-in-law's house, shout out to her, because it's just so crazy. Like, the environment in my house is so much different than the environment at Shemaine's house, my mother-in-law, because one thing that I will say is that, like, I literally could be, like, hyperventilating, crying, and, you know, Trey's brothers will come and be like, are you okay? I'm like, no! And they'll, like, keep crying, and, like, Shemaine will be like, are you alright? And I'll be like, no, I don't want to talk about it. And then they'll be like, oh, okay, and, like, they just, like, leave me be. you know? And I'm just like, okay. Or like they'll like, you know, sit down and like talk about it. I never had that. Never had that. So yeah, it's nice to have I guess be married into a family that gives a shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is that's how it was when I was growing up. Okay. We're going to get into the next part, but it is time for an ad break. We are back from the break, and I just wanted to speak on why it is important to show emotion to your kids. Okay?
Okay.
It's story time. No, I'm kidding. So, when I left Virginia, and I came here to California, you know, my kids are 7 and they are in school, right? So I took them from, you know, the school in Virginia, like took them out, put them in here, you know, whatever. Yeah, I feel like every kid is excited to start school, right? At like a new place, and oh, it's like new things and this and that. You know, I just don't think that Scarlett and Alea understood that we were gonna be here for a long time. So that first week, actually that first month, the girls were really happy that they actually did not have school. They went to school for what, a week? They went to school for like a week in December because then the winter break hit. And then January was the roughest month of all the months. The beginning of this year, 2022. Yeah? Yeah. It was really rough because I don't know how to deal with emotions. And, you know, like I said, as a kid, it's like, you know, go to your room. Like, I don't have that, like, close relationship with my mother and my father. Like, there is no emotions. Like, yeah, like, I can love my parents from a distance. When I'm in Virginia, you know, like, yeah, like, I can, like, pick up the phone and I can talk to my mom and I can tell her, yeah, you know, like, I love you. And I can do, like, the same with my dad. I actually just recently, I think when I had Bash, in 2020, my dad came to visit us in Virginia when I had Bash. That was, like, the first time that we actually, like, connected, me and my dad. Aside from when I was, like, daddy's little girl. I feel like a lot of daughters probably have that. But anyways, so the relationship with my parents is not, like, close, right? My husband has a really good relationship with his dad, and then, like, with his mom, it's good. And I have a closer relationship with Trey's mom than I do with my mom. That shit hits. But anyways, so I had moved and my girls were going through the emotions, and when I tell you, it just, like, hit me, and I, like, they were crying and I'm sitting here like, girl, I want to cry too. Like, we gotta take turns here. And I remember how horrible I felt, and, like, I don't know what to do with emotions. I don't know what to do with my emotions, let alone my kids. And during that time, I remember, you know, I cried to you. And, you know, I was, you know, crying to Trey and, like, stuff like that. And it's very difficult because of the fact that I don't have, like, you know, that I want my mommy. Fucking pussy. Yeah, I'm talking to myself. I want my mommy. It was more of, like, ooh, this hits. I'm gonna start crying. I don't have, like, it's weird. I don't know if you won't understand. It's like, I want my mommy, but me and my mom are not close, and I can't have that. So then, a lot of the times I wanted to turn to my mother-in-law, but, like,
that's not that close either?
No, the time difference, you know? And I'm not, you know, like, I came for my own reasons and wanted to work on my relationship with my mom and fucking shit like that. But anyways, it's not the point. But Very difficult because of the fact that from what I've learned, like, I have to let them go it out. Like, I have to let them just, like, go. I have to let them just feel. And during that time, boy, was it, like, I was the queen of suppressors. Because, like, a lot of the times what I did was, like, I would, like, suppress. And, like, I'd take them to school and, like, I'd, like, walk along the side. I'd be like, okay, have a good day, girls. I love you guys. And then, like, after they would leave, I'd kind of, like, cry and, like, that little walk back to my house. And then I'd, like, suck it up. And then I'd continue with my day. And then at night is when it hit. At night is when it hit. And I'd, like, go to sleep crying. And, I hope that I'm doing a good job with my kids. I do, like, tell them it's okay to show emotions if they want to sit here and, like, say, like, I'm sad or I'm mad. Like, today, Scarlett, like, just randomly out of nowhere, and it hit, but, like, I've been doing the pod, and I've been doing readings and stuff like that, and Scarlett was like, she expressed herself, and she said, like, you pay more attention to Bashi than you do to me and Alea. And, like, she stopped me in my tracks, and I was like, what? And I was like, okay, that hit. And I was like, oh. And then, like, we talked about it. So very, like, parenting doesn't come with a guidebook or a handbook. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. When the girls were younger, I used to go to, like, when I was in Virginia, I used to go to my mother-in-law for a lot of things. And I'm sure when I go back, I'll be like, Shemaine. I'll, like, call her for stuff. But hats off to me, hug myself really tight, because I can sit here and say that even though my parents didn't show me emotions, like, I feel like I'm, like, breaking that generational curse. And I feel like I'm doing a good job, and, like, I'm a fucking badass mom, you know? To each their own. It's just so amazing, and I really hope that, like, Scarlett and Alea can, and, Bashi, when he gets older, I really hope that, like, me having them, like, show their emotions can, like, just, when they don't fucking like me, like, I hate you, Mom. Cool. But, like, if it continues and there's disrespect, that's when I'll, like, step in and be like, all right, what's up? Hate me, but you have to what's up? Me. What's up? Yeah. Yeah, but, yeah, that's, that movie was, it brought, like, a lot of emotions, this week when I had watched it. I was like, fuck. Like, that's how the girls felt, because, during that time, even when we would hang out, like, just randomly, they'd be like, oh, like, I miss my dad. Oh, I miss my teachers. I miss my friends. When are we going to go home? I don't like California. Like, stuff like that. So, emotions are okay. They're fine. Don't suppress. Do not suppress. Communication is key, I feel. Like, communication is key. And thank you for listening to me ramble. Shot Creason, I'm Raichu. I'm not crying. Yeah. I like, feel the need to, ever since the two sessions that I've done. I feel the therapy sessions that I've done. I feel, like, the need to cry, but it's like, I'm Mariano. I got so much love inside. But yeah, that's my spiel. Parenting and emotions and spirituality, it's fucking awesome. It's great. Things are going good. My kids tell me, how they feel, and it's great. And we just shoot the shit and play Uno.
Uno's a fun game.
It really is. So now we're going to get into the, describing the emotions. We'll be bouncing back and forth with each other and reflecting. So what's the first one that you want to talk about?
Fear.
You want to know the definition of fear? Look up in the dictionary, and Creason's face is, like, right there, slapped on there.
Okay. Let's not do that.
Fear and caution is creasing.
Yes, caution is definitely closer. I know I'm not afraid of everything. I'm just cautious.
Creasing. Okay. All right, go.
See, she's not convinced, but trust me, I'm just cautious and cautious.
You know, you take calculated risks.
Okay.
It's calculated. Whatever it is like you can't put calculated and risk in the same sentence with you. It's calculated.
Uh-huh.
Because it's either like you do it or you don't.
Okay.
And a lot of the times you don't.
Oh.
But reflect on fear, because fear is what did fear do with Riley?
It tried to keep Riley safe.
Tried?
Well, that's
Okay.
its job. It's to keep Riley safe. To make sure she doesn't die. Okay?
Your fear, dude. Yeah. What? She's gonna die over tripping over a fucking...
I know. I never understood that in the movie.
Oh my god, she was what, like 2 or 3,
Yeah,
and she was running around the house, and there was like a cord or something,
Yeah.
and like she stopped. My kids would have jumped over and
they
just like
would've
knocked
kept,
it.
I just kept going.
They would have broke it.
I mean, she did that anyway.
No, well,
After she walked over, she had the wagon behind her, so the wagon pulled down the lamp and broke it anyway.
I didn't pay attention to that. That's so funny.
So yeah, there is real. Okay, so fair, keeping people safe.
Yes.
I mean, it's also caution, which I mean, that's why she said. That's why my friend here says that I would be a picture. I somewhat agree. I am very cautious in my moves. I try not to put myself in situations that suck. There's a reason for it.
You like comfort, like you don't like change. That's what it is.
I mean, doesn't everyone like comfort? Because it's familiar.
I guess I don't, because I moved.
You're moving back, Miss Comfort.
I know. I know. I talk too much shit, okay? Go.
You're telling me I don't like change. You don't like change either. But enough about that. The fact of the matter is that, yeah, I have a reason for it. I was, in a situation where nobody had my back when I flipping, lost everything. And that changed me. When I was in a depressive state, everyone's like, get up off your...
Toxic positivity is what they were doing with you.
Yeah. They were like, get up off of your A. And dude, no one cared about my emotions. Everyone just cared about, freaking me getting up off my ass starting to work again. You were your own best friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've noticed that about you. A lot of the times, I'll be like, oh yeah, I'm here for you, or I'll do blah, blah, blah. And only one time was I able to do something for you when weren't you down with COVID or some shit?
Yeah, something like that. I was down. And yeah, you went and bought stuff for me. But for the most part, I'm just coming over here. Sometimes you pick me up. Okay, so it's not every single time.
You have your own back and you're so used to it.
Yeah.
That I feel I don't know, for other people, for me, I'll be I'm here for you. And it's oh yeah, whatever. But it's I don't know. It obviously you just said why it is, but it's your very last resort.
Yes.
You're very life or death.
Yeah, because I don't see, the thing about me is that I kind of know how it feels to be used. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I don't want to use the people that are close to me. I want the value of my friendships to not be, I can just go ahead and use them as a ride to take me around, or I want the value to be a little different than that, because for me, it's very surface level when it comes to friendships and stuff. And I try my best to always whatever time I'm spending, it's not let's just go ahead and I want to drive somewhere, so take me. It's more of just if I can do it, I'm going to do it. But if we can do it together, then that'll be cool. And if you want to come with me, then I'll drive, unless you insist or something like that.
Even when I insist, you don't.
Oh God. That, yes, I guess true. I guess insist hard. I I don't know exactly what the thing. Like, I am a very self-reliant person.
Do we associate that with fear?
That's a good question. I don't think that you won't be there for me. Like, you've already showed that you will. So I don't think I fear that, you know? I don't know what it is. Like, for me, I'm just a very independent type of person. I don't like to, like, that's why it's so difficult. I'm good at giving, but I'm not good at accepting.
Yeah.
I know that
I've
for a
noticed
fact.
that.
Like, that I've always been weak on. Because,
Yeah.
like, for one, you know, I'm the type of person that, doesn't like to waste people's time. It's like, it's weird because it's like a self-esteem hit
I find
without
it funny.
it being a self-esteem hit.
I find it funny how you sit here and like you even think about the time being wasted.
That's the problem. I think it's a self-esteem thing. Because at one point, like, you know, I'm self-sufficient, I'm self-confident, I have like all this stuff that I'm doing.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I don't want to accept because I'm just like, dude, why am I going to take this person's time and the W word wasted? Like, I feel that any time that people spend on me is like wasteful. Like, why are you going to do that if you can do something else? It is pretty deep.
That's a Chiron.
It is a Chiron.
Damn.
It's the incompetent Chiron.
Shit. You're not incompetent.
Oh, you're trying to hit it, aren't you?
You're not. You start crying. I made him cry, y'all.
Guys, I did it. The robot's crying. Is that oil that I see in your eyes?
Who says that? What the fuck? You're weird. No, but okay, yeah.
So,
Fear.
yeah.
Fear.
So fair. Like, I feel throughout my life, like, you know, I always had the fear that I was never going to get friendships, I was never going to get close relationships.
Wow.
I think that had to stem with how much I was bullied in elementary school. And to get out of that, like, you know, slight depression after 8th grade, I really put on a persona. So I flipped my whole personality
You're
overnight.
good with that because I would have, like, you were so, like, you can not know someone and then, like, chat it up. And I know, like, now that, like, I know you, I can see that, like, I can't, you're not uncomfortable, but it's just, like, you just, like, go with the flow.
I really do.
And you're very, like, you know, friendly and talkative.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I give, like, I started that in high school because of the fact that I didn't want to be who I saw that I was. The movie that hits me, I don't know if you've seen this one, was Rango. Like, a lot of people ask me why I like that movie. And I know we're talking about Inside Out right now, but the reason that Rango hit me so hard was because he had no idea what he was doing when he got thrusted into the situation that he was, and he decided to act his way out of it.
And he did it confidently.
He did do it confidently. And that's exactly what I'm doing at this point. Like, you know, I'm literally doing it. And it's funny because he says, like, you know, who am I? Like, he's questioning who he is at the same time while trying to go ahead and push an act.
That's really deep.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, like, that's me internally. Like, I have had this internal struggle for a long time. And what makes it so hard is that the true me is here. Like, what you're seeing and what I'm talking about is the true me. I just flipped it in where instead of it being inward, it turns outward. But all the values and stuff that I have, everything is real, except for the fact that I just want to be more quiet than I technically am. I don't want to talk all the time. I don't want to, like, express my feelings all the time. I'm more naturally quiet. But people do not like quiet. They always want to know what you're feeling, know what you're talking about, know your excitements or whatever. So I turned that outward. Very difficult to do. But I did an overnight change because I was like, you know, like, I can't live my life not talking as much as I would love to. Being a mute. I have to express. And this is why you see me, like, struggle with how to express, because a piece of me, like, wants to be quiet. So remember those times where you were like, Kristen, you know, you're talking quietly? those are the times I actually do want to be quiet. I don't want to
Well,
talk.
the thing is that you're just like, we could be taking Bashi for a walk and you just have like this low voice, and like even like when you're talking to my mom and I'm like, Grayson, you literally talk like it's a mouse.
It's a little mouse there chittering on the.
No,
is that you, Grayson?
Grayson?
Is that you?
No, but yeah, okay.
So yeah, fear to me as an emotion is an important emotion for tempering your highest risk.
Yeah.
I think that if fear didn't exist, like people would just be doing all sorts of crazy things, running red lights, jumping off bridges.
Yeah.
God knows what people would do.
Yeah.
But fear keeps us in check. You know, we want to be self-sufficient.
Dude.
And we want to live. And fear helps us do that. You know, we're not going to just confront a bear or do any of that stuff. Now, you were talking earlier about flight or flight response, or fight or
flight. Yeah.
Actually, I read online that it's actually 3 responses: fight, flight, or freeze, which is you freeze in place and you don't really do anything.
Like kind of like I think
deer in headlights.
You and I have this where like we get the juiciest of the teas, and we're just like, I need like a week to process this.
I like the fight, flight, or freeze because I think that's true.
That's interesting.
That's like much more accurate than the fight or flight response.
Yeah.
But that has to do with fear too, because like, what do you do when a situation just happens? And usually you can tell the good people from the bad ones. I was talking to a friend that said that people are kind of like, you know, we're going to go extinct because most of the times when you hear things happen, our first instinct is never to run. It's to stay around and figure out like what's going on first before you start running. And I agree with that. They're like, if something happens and you hear a loud sound, the first thing is not, oh, you know, let's start booking it. The first thing is, what was that? And then it's start booking it after you figure out what it is. And he's like, you know, a regular animal would just book.
Yeah.
So they have a higher chance of survival than any person because we have to ask, what's that, before we actually book it.
Yeah. Interesting.
So, yeah, fear keeps us alive. But I feel that, like, I agree with my friend that people are on the low spectrum of that. We've lost our ways. The reason that we're still here is because we've kind of crafted everything to be more safe. But yeah.
That's...
All right. I don't know if you have anything else to add to fear, but...
Well, that was you. That was... I learned something new every time we do this podcast about you.
Okay.
Yeah. With me, fear. The funny thing is I'm like... I feel like I've always been rebellious. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I feel like I play with fear. Okay. I put myself into... Well, I don't intentionally... Listen, I do not intentionally put myself in fearful situations. They just happen.
Oh, wow. Yeah, how did guys have to step this plane and start skydiving?
Creason, you know 90% of my life. Stop it. Dude, I need you know how like they have like keeping up with the Kardashians, and you need to have like keeping up with Cynthia. Like, what is she doing now?
What is she doing now? What situation did she end up in now?
No, but honestly, that's literally my life. Like, I remember so many conversations. We don't have much, but a lot of conversations where Creason, like, I like to lean on Creason for, like, support and advice. And, I find you sometimes sitting here being like, dude, I don't even have advice for this.
I really don't.
But, fear in my life, the only fear, really, that I have that I feel like I'm, like, stepping into, and I'm like kind of like, I don't know if I want to say forcing myself, is the fear of being alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. the fear of being alone, because I've noticed, that I like control over situations, and I like, a lot, like, plan A, B, C, D, E, like, all the way to Z.
I can agree with that. Perfectionism does that.
I don't put myself in situations where there's going to be, like, a scare. So I guess you can say like that's just like my big all-time fear. Like, you know, when I meditate, Bashy's sleeping on me, he's on my side. Like, I am never alone.
Yeah. I mean, a safe space is important, I know, too.
Yeah, but I've done some I'm doing some things and like I've been doing like some really deep, intense like shadow work. We'll do an episode like when I feel comfortable. But that's one of the things that I've noticed is that I have these attachments, and the big root and the big fear is like myself, like being alone. I don't know what to do. I get very fidgety. Like after the session that I had, we my dad, drove me. We came back. He went to the store, and I was like just sitting there like this. I was like, oh my God, what do I do? I'm by myself.
You know what's interesting about that?
What?
Is, like, I remember you used to... I wonder how it's going to change, because you used to like to sit and like stare at the wall when you would get like...
I did, yes. When Sebastian was in the ballet and Scarlett and Alea were in school, Trey would work because I am a stay-at-home mom. Don't judge me. I liked to literally, like, I would sit there and stare at the wall and just, like, doze off. Again, where I was, like, I knew, like, there were people around. Like, I was, like, in my home. I was not into the spiritual shit. So,
Yeah, that's true.
I don't even, my grandfather was still here with us. So, like, and the reason I say that is because, like, after Grandpa, like, died, I started getting into spiritual stuff, and I was like, my dumbass, I sat down, like, fucking, like, and just started, like, speaking, and I was like, look, to all my dead relatives, I know I could speak to y'all, but don't. I love you guys, but don't. I'm not trying to see. No. Even though I do know that, like, they're here with me. I don't know if I told you in the last session. I'll tell you after this. But yeah, Grandpa was there. It was pretty fucking emotional.
Oh, wow.
But yes. So yeah, fear of being alone. Yes, when Sebastian was in my belly, I used to like staring, like, crazy person. I just used to like sitting there staring at the wall. I used to watch my shows, my true crime, stuff like that. That is fear. That's very interesting. How, like, interesting.
It's different.
What's the next emotion?
All right. Well, we're making good time.
This is gonna be a long episode.
It really is. Last time we did this gust.
Let's do it.
So this gust
is me.
Yeah, I guess so. All attitude. No, I'm just kidding.
A whole mood.
No, so basically this gust, according to the movie, prevents Riley from feeling poisoned, emotionally and physically.
That's interesting how you put that.
Yeah. So, emotional poison. Let's talk about that. So, when you're disgusted, I feel it's like the second level to anger. I feel that it's like annoyed. Like, it's the step up below.
Yeah.
It's like the irritated sign, like disgust is like, I'm irritated. I don't want to be here right now. I don't want that thing.
Stop.
It has a lot to do with your pet peeves. Like, like all of your pet peeves, I think, is inside of this gust. Like, you can function with it there, but you really wouldn't want it there. You're like, what? Like me?
That literally just happened before we came back on here. I should have grabbed the freaking yogurt bottle and just chucked it outside. I'm done.
That's pet peeves. You can function, but you'd rather be in a world where that didn't exist, which actually...
I have learned and this is one thing that you're teaching me.
Oh my God. Here it goes.
Is that I am the type of person that, like, I can sit here and be like, that's irritating, that's annoying. But I've noticed that I have a lot of annoyances, like little annoyances and things that irritate other people.
Oh, there is a book.
I do. But listen.
I'm listening.
This is where I see that I'm the issue.
Oh God, there she goes.
I'm Raichu. Stop. I am the issue. So I can do something about it. Because a lot of the things that happen is like I'm surrendering to and I have no control. So in those times I just let it be. It's been going pretty good. I think I was good for like 2 weeks.
This is Raichu talking, okay? Raichu says that she was good for 2 weeks.
Annoyances, you do have an annoyance. Well,
a couple.
Yeah.
Like you say. Like, your pet peeves are attached to stuff that I can physically control.
But you
not
you
all
don't
the
need
time.
to. You don't need to though. And there is something, it has to do with, I think it has to do with my childhood. I was listening to someone on YouTube and it had said something about like little like annoyances, like I'm putting myself out there. Little annoyances like how people can swallow sometimes, or like how like some people can like eat their food, or like how someone blinks. Like that shit can irritate the living fuck out of me. And but it has to do with it has to do with something about like your childhood and like the person that traumatized you and the controllingness and shit like that.
Oh, I never heard of it that way.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll have to circle back around.
I mean, for me, like, you know, because like my pet peeves, for instance, was napkins.
I did it the other night and I did not know that I was doing it.
And any type of shit, I guess.
You have a weak stomach.
It's funny because like I'll gag but I wouldn't vomit. It's kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would gag but I wouldn't vomit.
I can totally relate because I do that when.
Oh my. Okay. just a little bit comes up. Just a little bit comes up. You swallow it back.
I do that when there's like fucking irritating things that I just. But yeah. Disgust is a very interesting one.
Yes. So in the movie, now keep in mind that, like, you know, she might say I'm fair, but this Gus is actually my favorite character in that entire movie.
Attitude.
Because she represents attitude, and like when you're in a situation that you don't like, you show attitude, and that is practically like I'm very sarcastic sometimes whenever I get like I use disgust a lot, especially when I'm in
your masculinity.
Yes, like it's all in the disgust realm, and when I get disgusted, I get very sarcastic, jokingly sarcastic, it's and like heavy sarcastic
yes,
at the same time.
You do,
and it gets bad. I think that disgust like sits there for a while, and it takes me forever to get out of it.
It does.
But I do kind of like disgust because, for one, you can play it off, but for two, you know that you're hitting a lever that you're not supposed to be hitting. Like, that's the one thing I like about disgust as an emotion, is that you can be irritated without going all the way up to the anger. And you can actually show, like, okay, you
exactly
know,
how
I don't,
you feel.
Yeah, like, I don't like the situation that I'm in. Like, something needs to change, you know? And the other person will get that, you know, almost immediately. If they choose not to change it, like my brother does a bunch of damn times, then it turns into anger.
Zav.
But you had the warning. It's not like you didn't have the warning.
You barely give Zav any warnings, though.
Zav doesn't listen.
Like, he'll literally walk in, you're like, Jenna! I'm joking.
Actually, my siblings made the exact same joke, so I'm not even gonna go and lie. They said the exact same. They're like, he steps in the room, and you automatically tell him to get out. So I'm not even gonna lie. That is possibly accurate, if not accurate. You know, there is times that I want, but like, you know, my brother Zav, like I'll go into just a little bit, not too much. He he always, like, you know, loved a lot of attention when he was small. And the way that he would get the attention is by causing trouble and or getting into things that he's not supposed to get into.
He's also the youngest.
Yes. So, like, you know, he wanted all the attention to be on him. He had a big mama's boy vibe when he was younger.
And he still does. No, he doesn't.
Oh my God, dude. Like, if you listen to him, like, he's always around my mom. He's always trying to give her hugs and kisses. My mom gets to the point of where she's like, dude, you got to stop. Like, I can't deal with your weight because, you know, he's a big guy.
Where's my favorite child? Krisan? Where are you?
Oh my God. So, yeah, like, I feel like, you know, that just kept going when he's growing. And he has an acceptance issue, too. You know, like, he feels that nobody inside the blah likes him, nobody inside school. Yeah. And I can understand that, you know, like, you know, but I'm like, dude, I understand that you want certain things. Like, I understand that you want bonding time with me and things like that. And I don't mind, except that when I go and do those things and those experiences, like, it's like he wants to relive the glory days.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's not very good when it comes to competition either. Yeah. Like, he has this sentiment of where he always wants to win. He always wants to be the best. He'll drag things out so he can win. Yeah. And it's kind of toxic for me because I'm just like, if you're going to play a game, it's not about winning.
It's like,
but for him, it's about winning. Like, if he doesn't win something, his mood sours almost immediately.
He gets disgusted.
And it's to the point of where, like, even if we're doing, like, a team game, you know, might be with the girls a lot. Even if we're doing even if we're doing, like, a team game, it turns into who killed the most people, who's pulling their weight the most, who's comparing the most. Even on a game. So I could have not played the game before in my life, and he played it forever, he would compare. Or I could play a game for a very, very long time, and he could not, and he'll still compare.
Yeah.
And either way, you lose. Because if you did better than him, oh, you know, you're a show-off. You did better than me. If you do worse, oh, why are you slacking? I blah, 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 blah. Yeah, like, no matter which way, it's toxic.
I can see where your brother can hit that disgust.
So I'm just like, can't we just have fun? Now, why I like Brandon a lot more than I like Zav is that this week just have fun. Like, if Brandon loses, yes, he'll get a little ticked off because Brandon is a competitive guy. He likes to win. If I beat him like 10, 15 times in a row, he'll get very, very mad. So I used to go and, like, back then, he would, like, basically, like, put his head like a ram and ram me into the wall with his head.
That's so funny. That's playful. I love it.
Yeah. And I would have to freaking, like, one time, like, when we were older, he got so mad. He rammed me and he like grabbed my head and hit the wall so hard that it left a freaking, like, almost a hole in the wall. I think it, like, dented the wall a bit.
Big ass head.
Yeah, we have to fix the wall. But
yeah.
The reason I like playing with him is because, you know, and what I would do when I was younger was, and even now, is I would temper back. Like, I would beat him, but not enough to piss him off, but not enough to, like, just get him right there when he's, like, you know, competitive. Right now, like, he's gotten so good at one of the games that I can't beat him anymore at it. Like, even if I try my hardest, like, I can't. So I just try to have fun as much as possible. If I get a streak, like, I'll laugh. But that's as far as it goes. But I always choose that game because I want him to have that. He's a little better than me at that game. I never practice on it. I only, like, reserve it for when he's there. So that way, like, you know, but I love having those times because he's good in teams. Like, if we play together, like, it's always about, like, you know, us getting together as a team. And I think that's why I enjoy his company so much. But Zav takes offense. Why do you always go play with Brian? Why don't you go and play with me? And blah, blah. It's the attitude.
Yeah.
It's the attitude. Like, Zav's disgust is, you're not on my level at all times. And honestly, it's disgusting.
It is. It's a disgusting way to look at things.
And his disgusting triggers are very easy to trigger. Like, for everything's a competition. I mean, you saw one of them, like, when he showed you the art, you know, that was a competition. He wanted to know whose was better. And I was fair. Like, I didn't. I was like, you know, and I wasn't, and I didn't care whether he chose me or not.
I know.
You know, but for him, if it was, mine was better all throughout,
that would have been
it would have been devastating to him, you know? So I'm happy that it ended up that way because Like, I'd rather it be that way.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care if I drew the Mona Lisa and he drew the Mona Lisa and my Mona Lisa looks better.
Yeah.
I'd rather it be him than me.
Just, dude, that's sad because then you wouldn't be able, like, he wouldn't, that disgust wouldn't come in and that irritation.
I mean, he still has it because he's like, oh,
Well,
Creason,
yeah.
you should practice art more. But that doesn't affect me like it would affect him if I was to say that to him. Like, he could come to me and be like, oh, yeah, Creason, you got to practice your art. But if I go and tell him he has to go and practice his craft, oh, my gosh. Oh, you're hurting my feelings. Yeah. It's an attack. Mm-hmm. Like, why are you attacking me? Mm-hmm. But he can attack all he wants when it comes to me. Why don't you play the game? Why can't you do this? Why can't you do better? Yeah. So, yeah, disgust can be, as I said, two sides of a coin.
Yeah.
That sort of disgust is bad. I feel that disgust is a good warning sign, though.
Yes.
For me, I don't even want to waste time with the warning sign. That's why I push right up the anger when it comes to Zav. Because, like, with Zav, he goes into disgust right away.
Well, because of the fact that it's the same shit, different day.
Yeah. Like, he everything threatens him.
I know.
Everything.
I hear your conversation.
I can't have a friend. I'll be talking. Oh, why are you talking for that long? I'd be walking. Oh, why are you walking? I'd be eating. Oh, why didn't you wait until I came out to go and eat? Like, I go ahead and buy a drink. I went out. Like, I remember that you bought me food one day. I brought it home. Why didn't you get anything for me? I was like, I got this. It's like,
yeah.
I can't even get gifts.
I feel
without him triggering off of it. It's like anything.
Your brother is an annoyance.
Anything that I do or I get is a trigger. So, yeah, after years, remember, because he's still 20-something and he's still doing the 22. And he's still the same. Like, after a while, anybody would just be like, I don't want to deal with this anymore.
Yeah,
I've been nice.
Brother.
And you know what? I was the nicest to him. Mm-hmm. Oh gosh, I didn't even tell you about this. So when I was younger, I would let him go play my games. Mm-hmm. This guy got so mad at one of the games. He took the CD of one of my favorite games and scratched the thing and cracked it. I didn't punish him for that. It was my favorite game. And I didn't punish him. My response, I just went online and got a copy. Which is not good. Not supposed to do that. But I was so nice. Because, like, his other brothers would have just threw him out.
Yeah, your other brother.
And been like, dude, you broke my thing. Like, every single time he would even attempt to go and visit their room, they would have the door locked to keep him out. Because he would break stuff. I was the only one that was like, I'm going to keep it. But I remember, like, when I got my PSP, he was like, oh, I want to play this one game on it or whatever. I let him play it. He broke the case. Because he got mad at the game, he threw the case across the room and broke the case. I still have the broken case today. He has done so much. And, like, every time I bring it up, oh, why are you bringing up the past? Mm-hmm. That was past me. This is me. This is new me. I've evolved. I was like, yeah, you evolved, all right? It's someone who annoys me.
Yeah.
So, it's been a long road with Zav. I've been trying to temper being nice and not. The only time that I realize that we bond is over movies, so that's what I really try to do with him. I try to go out for movies and not home movies, because then he'll ask for food.
He'll fall asleep, too.
Or fall asleep. One of the two things that drives me crazy when you say you want to go out and watch a movie, that's a pet peeve, too. Yeah. If you fall asleep...
You have a lot of annoyances.
I do.
Are you okay?
I'm going over disgust right now. I could go over
you
all.
Could go on and on and on.
All right. So yeah. Did you have anything to add? Because disgust is your
I know.
thing. Because I went on for a while.
Yeah. All right. So disgust for me, it's my whole mood.
End the podcast.
Thanks for listening. It's literally my whole mood. I mean, you can ask, like, my family members on, like, my immediate family and, like, Trey's family. Like, what's one emotion from that movie that can describe Cynthia, and it's disgust. Like, I can have some attitude.
It's because she's never happy. It's like the
it's not that I'm never happy.
She's not happy, dude.
I'm just like whatever. I'm just like, whatever.
You know, I had a joke that this woman doesn't like anything, and that's why she's like disgusting all the time. Everything pisses her off.
I am learning how to deal with a lot of the things, a lot of the little annoyances that I have. Because like I said, like I can make like a 5-hour podcast of things that like really like.
Oh yeah, you have a novel's worth.
Yes, because one of the things that I did not know I had until I moved back. When Creason drives, he keeps his foot on the brake.
Safety. You're like, we're parked.
And he does that when we're parked. And like at first I was just like I would just look at him and like look down and I'd just be like, why is your foot on the brake?
God,
and then like he would take his foot off and like the car would kind of like jerk. Yeah. So I have a lot of those little annoyances, but like I said, like, you know, I've been like, you know, doing some research and like, you know, like shadow work stuff, and you know, it's taught me a lot about myself, and it's taught me a lot of like a lot of the little annoyances that I have is like there's like more to it. Right? But yeah, like I'm a whole mood, attitude, not necessarily like not a bad, like one, a lot of the time, like it's weird. Like when I'm in my feelings, I guess like disgust takes over.
Yeah.
And like you can be like so happy that like it disgusts me.
Yeah.
And like, you know, I'm not trying to like, I don't kill the vibe, but I'm just like looking at you like.
You did it today. you were like, I went and smiled, and you gave me the most dirtiest look when I smiled.
I didn't mean to.
I just saw the most dirtiest look. Like, why are you smiling right now?
That's my resting bitch face. A lot of people think that like when I'm in the zone and I'm like thinking, because like I'm not necessarily in my feelings today, but like. Yeah. And say like you could be doing whatever, and like a lot of times I like match your energy, but today I'm just like so like you'll be doing some dumbass thing over there and I'll just really be like just looking at you.
I was making jokes.
But like you think that it's like, oh, like you have a nasty it's not that I have an attitude. I'm content. Like this is me like But anyways,
it's true.
Disgust rules.
Disgust is actually I didn't know how much disgust actually was a part of my life until I actually did this podcast.
Yeah, don't worry.
I looked at it.
Disgust is gonna take her ass on a plane in July, and I will be disgusted.
Over there?
In Virginia.
Oh my God.
Yeah, Cynthia, your energy's still here. Look, okay?
She's gonna be like,
no, but
can't stand any of you. I can't stand any of you.
It's the sass. It's all that wet.
Oh my God, the drivers! How disgusted you would get when people would drive bad inside that place. When you would be driving down the road
in Virginia.
Yeah, you would be like, this driver is not driving. Why are you driving so slow?
That's here too.
Yeah.
See, would you associate disgust with petty?
I would yeah.
I am very petty.
I think it matches pettiness.
I am very. I think that I hit the level of pettiness like Cynthia. Stop. Don't you?
Sometimes.
I could be petty. I am like a big sarcastic, like to the point where a lot of people can't tell if I'm joking or if I'm telling the truth.
Oh, that, yes, I would, I can attest to that, yeah.
But
it's hard sometimes.
I just, like, disgust is just a whole mood. A whole mood. Anyways, now we're gonna get into the anger. Anger is,
do you remember? No? Okay.
Interesting.
Well, no, anger...
Anger is the one that, anger and, like, rebel, I feel like, go, like, possibly. And anger is the one that, like, made Riley just, like, up and fucking leave. So I guess, like, anger is, like, the flight.
Yes, anger is the flight. According to the movie, it's concerned about the world being fair for Riley. Yeah, that's what it is. Fairness. You know, and it's very passionate. So passion and anger. has a lot to do with each other. I feel that passion and anger kind of flow together like a cream, because when you're passionate about something, you also get very angry about it if it doesn't go your way. And you can also...
It's emotional.
Yes.
Very
it's the
emotional.
peak of your emotions, I feel.
Yeah.
You know, in terms of like your passion. And I really feel that passion is a very like anger-driven thing. Competitiveness too is very anger-driven.
Not fully,
but yeah, it's there.
I could see where it can get toxic.
It can get toxic.
Yeah.
You know, anger is not technically toxic, though.
It's not.
Like, that's the thing. Like, anger is more passion than toxicity.
I feel like a lot of...
Like this gust can be toxic.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people just need to learn... We all need to learn how to express our anger in a healthy way.
Yes. Yeah.
You know?
One of my hardest things. I mean, for me, I just damn well suppressed it. I'm going to be dead honest.
And I feel like you still are. And I feel like, you know, right now... Possibly you'll probably hit anger when I leave, but like it's like an onion, like we're peeling layers, and right now we're just at disgust.
Yes.
You know,
I usually get irritated a lot more than I get angry. My
You do.
anger has always been a point of contention, because when I was younger, like, you know, and I would get really pissed off.
Yeah.
You know, like I would throw a tantrum, throw things around, things of that nature. Parents gonna take that, so they really tamp down on my anger, saying that I just couldn't get angry or whatever. And it's very rare,
That's
like
sad.
today, that like I even get angry. Even at school, like I tempered it down because image. Like my mom didn't want me to show anger at school because of image. And it's funny because when my anger does come out, they can't understand it, which makes it worse. Like I remember when I got really angry at my dad, super angry at him. And he didn't know how to deal, because, like, it's an emotion that he never knew.
It's so sad.
Yeah, he never knew. So he was just, like, closing window. He's like, you gotta calm down. Like, he did not know how to temper it. And my anger just went up and up and up and up and up and up and up. And I can calm myself down, but it takes sadness to do it. You know, like, I basically have to pull myself into sadness to get myself back into a calm equilibrium. Other than that, like, my anger just keeps rising and rising, because there's so much untapped anger in there.
That you had parents that saw an emotion, didn't even, like, really... I mean, a tantrum is one way.
Yeah.
Right? But, like, it's like a tantrum's enough.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Well, obviously,
I'm
saying that a tantrum's enough, and I just, like, that is just so sad, because I feel like anger sometimes can get possibly physical.
It can.
Yeah.
I really try to prevent it from getting that far.
And I feel like possibly maybe that's what your parents were trying
Yeah, because when I was very young, like I would physically go after, like, you know,
your siblings, like any other.
And that's why I got
would.
tamped down.
Yeah.
You know, so I understand the reasoning, but, you know, it wasn't good. When I first took martial arts, it was karate, and that was when I was like 7. Mm-hmm. I really liked it because it was like calm, and you
was
were
it
doing
like
fighting.
A stress reliever?
So it really released stress.
That's
and
awesome.
The reason I went into this is something about me that you also probably don't know. The reason I went into fighting games specifically is because it reminded me of what I would do in martial arts to tap my anger. So I would actually be using, like, the fighting games for me was an anger reducer, because I realized how much of a catharsis it was for that. So I went into fighting games, and I really, really got myself deep into them because of that. Like, you know, and then I took wushu, and I tried to learn meditation, you know, controlling the body. I was never like a, you know, control the body type of person.
Yeah.
But I got there from martial arts. But a lot of it was trying to control my anger rather than, you know, be angry all the time, because I knew, like, how crazy my anger was.
Do you feel like you were, like, obviously controlling it in a healthy way?
This is the tough part for me. I think it's half and half. For one part, I've never figured out a way to, like, you know, deal with the highest echelons. Because keep in mind that there's a lot of anger built up over a long period of time. Like, my dad for instance, all the stuff that happens in my past,
Yeah.
all the stuff that he hasn't done, really built up a ball.
Yeah.
And I've taken that ball, put it inside a case, and threw it in the corner. But like it's there.
Still there, and it's probably growing.
And the thing about it is that he is very easy to trigger that ball. So, like, if he goes ahead and says the wrong word or says the wrong thing or whatever, it pops open and my anger comes out in full. Because, like, all the rage, I want him to eat. I don't want anybody else to eat. And that's another reason why it's suppressed.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, people like you, like, people like my friends, people like my family, other than my dad, does not deserve to eat that anger. Like, that's my thought. I'm not going to take out my anger on someone that didn't do anything to me. Because that's what most people do. Now, there's times when I'm stressed that it's very difficult to contain it because I'm stressed, and like my irritation bubbles up very close to anger. And during those times, like I just want people to go away from me because I'm like, dude, I'm a powder keg. Like the slightest thing can knock me off. And that's, I feel, is a lot of times when you're like, what's wrong? Blah, 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 blah.
I poke.
Yeah, and you try to go in and bring that out. I'm like,
leave me alone.
I'm like, basically, we're inside like a nuclear bomb room, and there's bombs all over the place, and you're there tapping the bombs. And I'm just like, can you please stop before something blows up?
You don't say that, though.
I really don't.
You're very bad at communication.
But I'm thinking it.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. I don't like to communicate the fact that, we're inside a room with nuclear bombs, and you're tapping them, and I'm just like, hey, don't blow up the bombs right now because I don't want a disaster to go off.
Yeah.
I try my best to be fair to everyone because that's what I want as a person myself. Like, I don't feel that people should take out their anger on me. I don't feel that people should, like, do that. So a lot of it's self-done. Am I afraid of my anger?
There's a lot of control with you.
Oh, yes. I've literally attempted to control my life, I mean...
Well, it's not just that. I just find it interesting how, like, your parents see anger within you and they're like, this isn't good. And then so like your mom just like shoves like an image and then like your whole life you're trying to match that image.
Yeah. But there is some good news here. I have found a little bit of a way to channel my anger. A lot of it has to do, this is why I said that passion is important, because a lot of it has to do with my passion. If I get irritated and angry enough, it will throw my passion up and make me much more productive than I would normally be.
Probably.
Because like it's pure motivation to stop. And I like it, but just like anything, if you have too much anger, it does the opposite effect. And I realize that that's kind of what's happening to me with my motivation, of where my anger is getting to the point, because like it's not just that I'm angry at my dad. Like there's a lot of factors. Like right now, my job is irritating me to a high degree, and there's a level of irritation that I could go ahead and do work effectively, and then there's a higher level of where I shut down. I don't want to do any work, and it's trying to push it down to that level of where I can be productive. I would rather not have any stressors or angers at all, but some situation just push stress your way. And anger is, I can't deal with all this stress anymore, So do I think that anger is a bad thing? No, I do not. Like, in my heart, I don't believe anger is bad. I just don't want it to go on the wrong person. That's where you said the control comes in. Like, I literally want to make that thing like a jet stream rather than a freaking, like, I dropped a bomb and blew the whole house. My job is to turn into more of like a flamethrower than a bomb. Yeah. Of where, like, I'm going to be angry, but I'm going to direct it at the people that actually piss me off. I'm not going to be a flipping grenade and blow up in everybody's faces just because. And there was a time of when I was going through all these jobs and stuff, my stress was way too much. Yeah. And once my stress hits a certain level, I can't control my anger anymore. So my anger just blows up on everybody. It's just like, bam. They'll come in and talk to me. Hi, Chris, how's your morning? Get out. Like, it's like that. Like, and I don't mean to be mean. I remember my mom would come in, you get, like, I can be sassy, but my anger sassy is even worse. Because it's like, you're in here, you're wasting my time, get the hell away from me,
Mm-hmm.
like type of energy,
Yeah.
you know? And it's bad because I already know that I want people, like, it's kind of like, I mean, that same conflict that you always talk about of you want people that's close to you, but you don't, but you're so busy, like, pushing them, you want them to come to you anyway.
Yeah.
That complex of where I'm pushing you away. I want you to come to me anyway, but I'm still, like, go away.
Yeah.
Get away from me. But I do it, instead of physically, I do it like through talking. It's like, go away. I don't want your help. I don't want you here right now. Like, leave me alone. You know, but I do want you because like I need someone to talk to release this anger. But I just, at the time, I'm so angry that all I want is to be left alone.
Yeah.
Even though I still want the help. It's so bad, you know, it's like counterproductive.
Yeah.
And that's the realm that I'm in. You know, I mean, you said it a couple times and I can understand that because I just do it in a different way. You're like, don't touch me. I'm like, you know, don't be in the same room as me. Don't be in my presence. You know, same type of push away, even though I want someone there. So, yeah, like that to me is anger. It's stress. Like that's how you deal with stressors, and your body doesn't want to be stressed. Your body also wants things to be fair, which also will reduce your stress. Because like, you know, if you don't have to think about, you know, things, that is literally stress free. And if you have to think about like, oh man, that wasn't fair, it's taking up processing time in your brain. And anything that takes up time inside your brain is going to be a stressor. Yeah. You know, even if it seems trivial, enough of them will just eat up all your process. And you're just like, dude, get all this stuff away from me and let me go ahead and do it. That's why routines are so important, you know, so that way you don't get stuck inside the stress ruts of, man, what am I going to do with this situation? You know, it's very hard to just be. But yeah, I like having anger around. I just, you know, have always struggled with ways to use it constructively. And that's just me.
Interesting. Cool. How do I deal with anger? I yell a lot.
I think that you do.
I feel like with me, my anger is like completely different. Mine is like, you know, I'm a very passionate person and I love very passionately. And a lot of the times when anger comes in, it's confusion on my end. And it's like, I'm very communicative. Very like, you know. So, yeah, that's like literally it. With my kids though, like I have a lot of angles because with my kids, what I used to do in Virginia and hopefully like I can continue doing it is, I would let them let it out. Obviously, like, you know, in a safe way, you know, in a good way because of the fact that as a kid, you know, I had no way, like I couldn't even fucking show any emotion. Like, I was a fucking zombie, probably. But with my kids, the thing that I like to do, like, say, like, you know, when I see them getting, like, really frustrated, what I used to do, and I actually, like, stop because, you know, now I'm at my mom's house and I have to respect her rules and stuff. But, like, I'll, like, let them go into their room and just, like, fucking have at it with their, like, kind of, like, fuck up the bed, throw the, like, pillows, kind of, like, let it all out. You know, wiggle around, scream as loud as they can. Like, that's just the type of mom that I am. Like, let it all out. Like, say everything that you want to say. Like, this is, like, the one time that, like, you can throw around curse words. Just, like, feel, right? That's how I dealt with, like, you know, the girls and, Scarlett, that was, like, her go-to. Alea is just more of, like, I mean, my girls are Libras, literally scales, complete opposite. Scarlett is like a Trey, like my husband, and Alea is a lot like me, like very like mellow, yeah. So with Alea, I've learned that she likes to like, she channels, I guess, her anger with music. So like, you know, back in Virginia, she had like this little Elsa karaoke thingy, and like she connected to her tablet and she would blast that shit. And I'm just like, she just sit there and she'll like start crying and singing, and I'm like, I don't know what you're doing, but you do you, girl. Like, so, yeah, that's how I deal with like my kids. And, you know, hopefully like now, like when I go back, right now it's quite difficult. I try to like, you know, calm them down, take them out, hug them, just like, you know, show them love, like really talk through, because you know my girls, like they can be interesting. They can be a mood, you know. I've noticed there's been like a lot of like back talk, stuff like that, but then I always tell myself, I always tell myself, Cynthia, like, they're not in their home. This isn't like necessarily like they don't have their own space, you know. You go from a place that you can do, your mom, aka me, lets them do whatever the fuck they want that's legal and obviously safe, and like let them scream and shit, to like we're living with, you know, their grandparents, and there's like certain rules that they have to go by, and they don't have their own route, like stuff like that. And like I always go back to that, like, okay, it's all right, Cynthia. It's okay. But that's how I like deal with my kids. With me, I don't know how to deal with anger. I lash out. I can chew your ass out. I'm very like, I guess you can say, I'm gonna admit I can be a bully. I can like attack you. Obviously, like, not physically, but, like, verbally.
Sometimes you can get...
Yes.
Yeah.
I can be really snarky, very sarcastic. Like, I am just a total bitch. And the interesting thing about it is that in the movie, there's this part in this room, and it's, like, the abstract. And that's, like, the imagination, right? Or, like, another world.
Yeah, that's the abstract thinking where you imagine stuff.
Yes. I am a huge, like, like, when I was a kid, I used to, like, imagine a lot. I channel my anger through that.
Oh, okay.
I've expressed a lot of my anger, you know, with you and Trey in, like, the abstract world, right? With, that's how I kind of release.
Okay.
It's like a perfect way too, because obviously, like, you know, me releasing in like that isn't gonna, like, I'm not going to act it out. It's just like kind of like when I say, you know, the other day when you ran, well, you could have fucking went, but you didn't, and you like it was yellow and you had more than enough time, and you just stopped, and I just looked at you and I was like
Yeah, you told what your imagination said.
Yes.
So.
I have a huge imagination, huge, like daydreamer. That's how I channel, I guess you can say, my anger. That's how I always have. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I can add to that is, like, when you get really angry, I realize that you would call and just start ranting like you're...
I'm very, I can talk your fucking ear off. I really can. I feel. I'm very, like, feely. I feel my anger. I don't act on it. I feel it. I say it with fuck yous and bitch and, like, those. It's the reason why I have such a potty mouth. I like to use my curse words. And, like, I can come up with words, and then Creason and Trey, like, what the fuck was that? And I'm like, I don't fucking know.
Right.
But yeah, I, again, find it very interesting how, like, different people can do different things. Because, like, the abstract world is, like, the big for me. And a lot of the emotions.
Definitely.
So to, like, finish off with anger, I will say, like, one of the things that does piss me off, I don't like physical touch. I just don't like touch at all. And a lot of the times when people, like, come and try to, like, touch me in a way of, like, hugging, and tickling's a big one. I don't like it. So obviously, you know, I'll probably like, push you away or, anger does come, from that. But yeah, that is it for the anger. Now we're going to get into the last two. We're going to go with joy.
Yeah.
Which is happiness. And then we will end it with sadness. So, Creason, you can take over.
All right. So, in the movie, Joy's responsibility was keeping Riley happy. And I associate joy with anything that releases dopamine, which is the happy hormone in the brain. And that includes your hobbies, things that you like to do, fun things, anything that gives you excitement, exhilaration, joy, experiences that make you happy. I agree that it can be dangerous to be happy all the time because you kind of, like, happiness is infectious, but happiness also is a shut off for other emotions. Everyone, people like to pretend to be happy or be happy to, make sure that other people would say, he's looking like everything's going well. And, my mom had a saying that, like, not everyone who's smiling is happy. And I agree with that, because it is like a hit against the feels, 100%.
Yeah. You're faking it till you make it.
Exactly. I would say in my life, happiness does play a decent role, especially when I was younger. I would always fake happiness all the time because even if I was sad or stuff, it was what I described in the previous segments of, like, I couldn't show the other emotions, but happiness was
the one that was supported.
Yes, so I showed that a lot. Now, it sucks because repressing the other emotions really comes to catch up with you after a while.
It does.
And if you're not really happy within a situation, it'll come and catch up with you too. You end up eating it with happiness.
You get quicker, when you suppress those emotions, and I notice with you, you're so quick to possibly get to, like, anger. Like, it's like, you don't even get to sadness.
Yeah.
It's like, fucking 5% is disgust, and then you shoot up to anger, and it's just like, whoa!
Yeah. I mean, in the movie, right, there's, like, it's funny because Joy is the only person that in that movie that is responsible for happiness, and all the other emotions kind of have a negativity to them, and Joy is the only, like, positive emotion. Like, I mean, fear is kind of like in the mid, but, like, anger, kind of negative.
Yeah.
And then you have disgust, kind of negative. Sadness, well, it's the opposite of happiness. So you have those emotions. So there's not that many ways to feel happy or to be exhilarated, to find the fun. I kind of, like, attach myself to joy.
You do, and I don't like it.
At the beginning. Well, like in the movie, because I can see, like, I like to make jokes a lot. I mean, that's where my joy comes in. I do like to make jokes. When I'm inside a situation, my first instinct for it is not to take it too seriously and to joke it off. And I feel it's residual. I don't like taking everything seriously. Mm-hmm. I really think it, like, drags a situation on. And unless, like, I'm irritated or any of those other emotions, I don't like to drag situations. So I usually tend to go to happiness. And it really sucks because, like, the whole robot feel that, like, you talk about has to do with the fact of
the happiness.
The happiness I can show, but the rest of the emotions I feel kind of like
are robotic.
Yeah, they're like, I don't absolutely need to show these.
Well, the funny thing about it is that, what I've noticed with you is with you having all this happiness and, like, this positivity, like, I've noticed that, like, when we started getting into the spiritual stuff, and I started getting into, like, the emotions and stuff like that, and I would point things out to you, and you would just be, like, on defense. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if like you can associate that happiness, that positivity with like not talking and not speaking your emotions about something.
That's what it is.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know if during that time you were like, oh, like Cynthia's trying to tell me how I'm supposed to feel about this emotion.
Mm-hmm.
Did you think about that? Like, were you thinking like that or no?
Kind of. I mean, the whole spiritual realm, like spiritual stuff, you know, it's interesting because on one hand, you know, we were struggling, like, getting into it in the first place. Like, we were doing questions, but we weren't doing them too often. And, like, it wasn't enjoyable.
Life was fucked.
Because at that time, like, you were really stressed.
That was,
and I was, like, semi-stressed. And then we were trying to stack on stuff that pull emotions out of us that made it even more stressful. Because, like, it's not that those emotions are bad. It's that it makes it so much harder for us to get back to a happy equilibrium.
Yeah.
So I can guess that you could say it's toxic for us to not, for me, well, it's toxic for me to want us to be at a happy equilibrium all the time.
Yes, I can't stand that about you.
Yeah.
That's the interesting thing about Creason and I is I'm one like to kind of like egg on to you and like say like randomly I'll just be like, you know, I'll pick a relationship and I'll be like, did you know this? And then you'll just be like, what the fuck? You can't sit here and like try to find the you know, positive in everything. Yeah, it's nice. One of the things that is quite interesting is the fact of like how the response is when you sit here and like say like you're going through something and you express yourself. Mm-hmm. That toxic positivity comes in when someone's like, oh, you know, look at the bright side. Like, why can't, like, that, use your discernment. There are some times where I feel like, yeah, you know, like when something's dragged on, but like there's other times where it's like, you know, you don't need to say that. Like, just feel. It's okay to be sad and it's okay to be like, you know, fuck this, fuck that. It's okay to express your emotions because when you don't, then you become like my friend. No, I'm kidding.
Oh my God.
Then you like.
But it's true.
You have, you know, no emotion, and then like when an emotion comes, it's kind of like, what's this? Like, you know?
Yeah. I mean, the thing about me too, when I was small. Now, this is also kind of personal, but I never had a safe space to throw my emotions around.
Yeah.
Like, that has always been an issue for me. And it's very difficult for me to create said safe space because...
Is that still right now?
Yes, and I'll tell you why. Because my safe spaces are never permanent. They're always temporary.
Ouch.
So I always have to sit there. And when I sit there and create that space, it always vanishes. So I have to go ahead and try to find a new space to create. It's kind of like I can never express myself. Like, there was this time in college that I thought I had it down. I was like living on my own and I could have my safe space. Like, my roommate left and I was like, oh my gosh, like I have it all to myself. I can actually express in here. So I would start expressing and all of a sudden, you know, like that disappeared and I didn't have that anymore. So I was
what
like,
made it disappear?
I had to move out of that place and move to a new place and get a new roommate. So I stopped myself from feeling and I started over again. And it's about the same thing now. Like, you know, making the time to express. You know, you
have to be in the mood.
I'm always in this struggle of productivity versus expression. And productivity for me is a way for me to like not worry about like my feelings or whatever. And I consciously know or subconsciously know that it's not a healthy thing to do. But due to the fact of like my safe spaces are very limited and I don't have that.
Totally.
that's why, like, I would rather be like, I can deal with all these emotions later. And I just
I
keep
can't
doing
stand
that
when you do that.
over and over. Well, that's
Yeah,
where
yeah,
my
yeah.
roboticness comes from.
I know.
And happiness, since it's like the only like available emotion that I can actually
Then
express.
you just cling on to that.
I just kind of hold on to that and express it all the time, and like the rest of my emotions are so like far away from the control panel. It's better off they just being on another planet.
So like Creason's
Yeah.
control panel, like basically joy has taken over, and all the like I can just see like all the other ones are like in like joy is like this toxic bitch that put everyone in cages. And she don't let no like she has a little something with fear.
Yeah.
They but other than that I'm joking. I'm picking at you. I'm joking.
God.
Bashi agrees. No, but okay.
Yeah, so
That's your take on
that's
on
pretty
happy,
much the take
or
on happy.
Joy.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that joy is a bad thing to have.
It's not.
I mean, it's the driver behind a lot of the reasons why people do things. It's a driver. Like, I remember saying that anger is passion, so is joy. Because, like, a lot of the reason why you go back and do things that you enjoy is because joy gives you dopamine, and dopamine goes. And that's why, they say there's a thin line between love and hate. Joy and anger have a lot of similarities. They're very, very close to one another because they both, like, motivate you sometimes to do things.
In a way.
Anger has a chance of going overboard and not making you do anything at all. But joy, if you have a lot of it, like, it'll continuously motivate you for doing things that you want to do. And it's a very good thing, the whole butterflies in the stomach, and like you feel like happy chills, and all that stuff is really, really nice when you get those feelings. It's just that as you grow, like, those feelings become less and less and less. Like, you don't get those exuberation feelings like all the time, when you're older, I guess, because like a lot of stuff is not new to you.
Yeah.
So a lot of things become routine and boring and stuff, and not spicy, I guess. So yeah, but that's happiness. I mean, I could go on and on, but I think
that's your take.
That's my full-on general take on it.
Okay, for me, it's quite different. Again, we are two different people, completely different. I don't like, it's not that I don't like to feel happy, it's short-lived. Because anytime, and this is literally my life, okay? Like, anytime there's like a sense of happiness, I'm always like cautious, like, okay, this comes with a price. What's the price? But genuine happiness for me links with family.
Immediate,
100% immediate. And I feel like, it's, family, like, I'm a simple gal to please. Buy me a bottle of wine, get me some hot Cheetos, and watch the kids for 30 minutes, and I'll be alright. Like, no, right. Honestly.
Well, wait. Because, like, alright
that's happiness.
And happy are two different emotions, no? Because alright just means that, like, I'm cool with the situation that I'm in. But happy means that, like, you want this all the time.
I feel like your definition and my definition are different, because my alright is, like, my way of saying, like, yeah, like, happy. That's my way of saying it.
So you're fine with just being happy for, like, the 30 minutes, and then all of a sudden, like, shit hits the fan, and then you're not happy anymore?
Yeah, because in a reality, who's willing to...
If someone was to watch the kids for 24 hours and do everything that they said for 24 hours, would you be happy for those 24 hours? Or would you start saying, hey, I need to go and see those kids again? Like, this is just not for me.
Quite literally, it depends in where I'm at.
Okay.
If I am here, then yes, I would be gooch. Like, I would be gooch. Normally, I'm the type of person that will, like, text, like, oh, how are the kids?
Yeah, exactly.
But here, no. I know that my kids are fine. my kids would be completely fine. But it's very difficult. I don't know. It's very difficult to hit happiness with me, just because I guess like maybe I guess you can say like it's not even maybe, it is. I'm pretty controlling, and I have this like, if it's not, I don't want to say if it's not done. Everything that I want, it's not a lot, but like when I ask for it, it comes with conditions. And I think that that's linked to happy, like it links with the joy and it links with the happiness. Yes, Bashi. Amen.
Oh my goodness. But no, I think that, like, see, from what I can see or from what I observed, like,
Yeah.
for you at least,
At least.
happiness and control
Yeah.
are linked.
Yeah.
Like,
That's what I just said. Happiness for me, right? Um, I feel like, quite honestly, like short, sweet, simple. I feel like in order for me to get to happiness and to like reach happiness, I need to understand the other emotions. And the
mhm.
biggest one, which like we're going to get into after this, is like my guide and my way of happiness is like to really go through sadness. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
I work really weird. But I will say that I had to go through a lot to reach happiness like in my life. I feel like I'm there. I feel like it's like within like arm's length or arm's reach or whatever the fuck they say.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, the reasoning like behind it obviously is because of the fact that I went back to all the bad emotions to understand it, to sit with it. Um, and now I feel like with myself, yes, I can say like I've never like, this is the first time pat on my fucking shoulder, is that like I am happy with myself.
Uh-huh.
Um and like what I'm doing, because for once in my fucking life I'm like doing shit for my like everything I'm doing is like for myself, right?
Yeah, that's, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
it's literally what you had texted me before we got back on here. I forgot what you said.
Yeah,
But
I mean, I said something along the lines of, like, you've been like living your life, like
pleasing others.
trying to appease other people, and you've taken a stand to appease yourself, and I'm all for something like that. I think it's important for people to appease their own needs to reach higher levels of enlightenment and
Yes.
spirituality and all that jazz. So yeah, like, it's important to not to lose yourself in the middle of trying to achieve things.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like, finding, because like I feel like right now I have semi possibly like found myself
Mm-hmm.
in the midst of fucking like losing myself or whatever. Um but yeah, like it's great. Things are great. Hopefully I can, continue this when I move back.
Definitely.
Yes, but it's really really sad, but like it is what it is, that throughout my life um there was, I like a handful of times of happiness. I feel like happiness and content is not the same, is it?
Being
Kind
content is more like being in a place of where you feel, I would say, comfortable. While being happy, you need to have safety for it, but it's also I mean, I said it during my part of the
Yeah.
mean, like, it's a literal feeling of exhilaration when you're doing something. So there has to be something that you're doing that's causing it. I mean, you could be
Yeah.
happy being content, But I feel that most people, when they say that they're content, it just means that they're in a place that's comfortable for them.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
not
yeah.
necessarily like they can be happy in there. It's just that they can chill and not feel like something's going to happen to them or that they have to be on edge, you know?
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Yeah, I was gonna say, like there's like a handful of times, literally I can probably count on both my hands. Well, probably one. I don't fucking know. It's kind of sad, but whatever. Unlike the times I'm like legit like happy.
Uh huh.
There are like I guess you can say like happy places, like people, secure fucking people, like um in Virginia, like at my mother-in-law's, right before grandpa died, like we used to fucking get the family together, and like that was a huge like happiness, just like getting together, like even though like sometimes we would like fight and shit, like it's biscuits and gravy, whatever. And then with Trey, and then with you,
Mm-hmm.
when our stupid asses would just like sit in the car and literally just sit there.
Yep.
We'll just sit in the or like we'll like sit there and like eat and like devour our food in the car, and like we're just like there needs to like there doesn't have to be any conversation.
Hmm.
We
That's
can
true.
literally just sit there and then like no awkwardness. Those are my happy places
Yeah.
with family, um with my immediate family, and then
Hmm.
like obviously like with my best friend. But yeah, happy, happy, happy. I reach happiness with myself. Hopefully we can continue it. Yeah. So now we're gonna get into sadness, and that's gonna wrap up the whole like episode. So Creason, you can take it from here.
Woo. All right. Sadness is the one I left for last, and I left it for last because it was a doozy. So in the movie, um, Joy describes sadness as at first she doesn't know what sadness does, but after about midway of the movie, her definition for sadness is people come to you because of sadness. So sadness invokes compassion in people. Now, I'm not going to say it invokes compassion all the time. I believe it invokes attention because whenever people see you crying, like they are going to be attention driven towards you, which means that you're basically like, it's like your alarm bell of something's wrong, and how people respond depends on the person. Sometimes it could be with rage and anger. Sometimes it could be with disgust. Sometimes it could be with happiness. Sometimes, well, I don't know if it's going to be with fear, but those first three emotions, I mean, and sometimes people can even be happy at someone's sadness. So it depends on the person of how you get a response, but sadness does invoke a response. So that's the one thing that sadness is there for. Now, I feel that sadness is also the one that's the easiest to ignore of all the emotions. Like, when people go ahead and go quiet or give the silent treatment and stuff, I feel like that's a complete repudiation of sadness. Like instead of feeling sad, you're just outright replacing it with silence. And you're choosing not to feel that emotion instead. It's a really powerful statement to ignore sadness, as just an emotion itself. So sadness is a lot. Like I have a lot to talk about when it comes to sadness because, for one, it's the opposite of happiness. I feel, it's one of the reasons why like people put so much emphasis into happiness because feeling sad really like gets you in a position of where you don't feel like doing anything. It's very hard to be functional and do work or do anything when you're sad because you just, sit there and, as sadness says, obsess over the weight of life's problems, which I think is a very good quote, you know, because that's exactly what it is. You're sitting there thinking heavily and just feeling all that life has done to you when you're inside sadness, sorry.
And sadness allows you to just sit there and feel all the weight, everything that you've been going through. Any type of loss is felt through sadness, and to feel it hurts to lose things. Actually, it hurts to lose things more than it hurts to gain than it feels happy to gain them. Like loss is a huge part of human life, and it's a huge part of life in general. We are destined to lose like everything that we've gained. And it's a very sad thought, but
Yeah.
it's the truth. Like human beings are destined to lose everything. Everything that we've created, made for the moment, did at this current time is gonna get lost. And we don't like to lose. People never like to lose, you know? It puts such a strain on us to lose things. To lose anything is a strain, you know? So in my opinion, and actually like sadness is important because it's the only emotion that actually deals with loss. I mean, yeah, you could get angry and things like that, but in order for you to actually heal, you have to go ahead and go through sadness in order to feel it completely. Like you can be pissed off, but there's a reason why, like, I feel because I think we went over the 5 stages of grief,
Hmm.
and depression was one of them. I feel that like you have to hit that that one. There is no other way for you to release a loss, without feeling it through sadness. So yeah, I'm gonna go through a little bit of my um experience. I'll talk a little bit more about the movie because there's some parts of sadness that I really do like. So I'm gonna talk about a couple of those things. So in the movie, sadness was very misunderstood. Joy had no idea what in the world she was doing. It seemed in the movie that they set her up to just be the person that makes mistakes all the time in the office. Like she was the person that was like, fumbling and making people cry and just, you don't want her there because she's going to screw something up. And yeah, like that's exactly how I feel like, I ran my life, especially when I was younger. I couldn't feel sadness. I like, and it was for multiple reasons. It was like, it's not only because if I was crying, I couldn't do anything, but it was shamed and looked down upon if someone was to cry for too long, or like if I did it at school, like it was shamed, and looked down upon. And it's funny, like I even did like some research on this. And the interesting part, now I don't know if it's factual. I still have to figure it out, but they said like there is studies that says that the attractiveness of someone goes down. Not on the guy side if if they cry too much, you know? Like the sign of strength that a man has to carry like has to be absolute because it gets to the point of where you know safety becomes questioned. It's like, well, if this guy's sobbing and crying for every single thing, like will he be able to function to keep me safe? And answering that core question is very hard for someone who is, I think, a bit on high on the emotional side and having so much emotion, because I think that sadness is like the pure essence of emotion. Like if you're able to feel sadness, you're able to feel like the full, you know, cornucopia of your emotions. So it's one of those things of where is there a too much sadness? Yeah, I believe that there's a point of where it can get annoying to the other person if you're just an emotional wreck over every single thing. There has to be like tempered spots for it, I feel, when it comes to emotions. And when it comes to a guy's emotions, they hit it from you from the very beginning. So I've always had a hard time relationship with sadness. The thing about it is that for most situations I'm gooch, but there's a couple of situations of where, it's really, really hard on me. And when I go ahead and I try, like, I remember when I was younger, it used to be easy to cry about them. Like, I would cry all the time. But over time, I realized that the crying, like, was dropping my respect from everybody, like, over time. Like, I remember when I would get hurt in school, my first instinct would be to cry, and I would go ahead and go to the teacher, and, like, like, at first, I got, like, good reception from that. But as time moved forward, it's like, like, you got to learn to stand up for yourself. Like, this crying business is not going to work. And that changed, like, a lot of things, because when you realize, like, crying stops when you realize that it doesn't work, and you realize that you're not getting the effect that you're looking for. If you're not getting cared for, if people don't give a shit about you crying, you stop. Like, that, it works like that for babies, and it works like that for, like, big adults as well. Like, crying only works if you know that the person's going to go ahead and someone's going to go ahead and pay attention to you. But if it doesn't work, that mechanism disappears. And the whole, like, oh, I need to go and feel, like, through crying, it's not important to you anymore. And I think that's a sad revelation. It has to do with a lot of, like, you know people just not caring, no empathy. But if people do have empathy, crying becomes a really good tool for getting someone to invoke that empathy. you know I feel, like, you have to select who you want to go ahead and get into those deep things, those deep crying emotions with. It has to be someone that you can trust, has to be someone that won't judge. And finding people that you can trust that won't judge you for putting your emotions out there and being vulnerable is a very difficult road to take and very difficult to do in general. So a lot of people just choose, like, hey, like, these guys are my friends, but they're not my deep friends. So there's no way I'm going to cry around them. And that's where I sit when it comes to, like, 99% of my friends. Like, yes, I know them, and yes, I'm buddy buddy, but there's no way I'm gonna go ahead and, like, sit down and have a cry session with these people. Like, I trust them, but not, like, all the way up to that much. It's difficult for me to get to that point. And I feel that that point's important. I feel that it's sad that it got to the point of where I cannot even express that, and I have to go ahead and, like, do it. But it's the reaction. You don't know how these people are going to react if you start to cry. You don't know if they're going to be like, dude, like, what are you crying for? Like, tough it up or whatever, so that you don't want to hear, or if they're going to be empathetic to you crying or whatever. And I feel that those things take time, to generate, those types of friendships. It's difficult to generate friendships of where there's high amounts of trust. And I really think it's a problem of today, even more than it's a problem of anything else, because of how our culture has become so much more instant gratification based. Like, people don't take the time to, like, learn another person and understand another person when they do their friendships and stuff. A lot of the friendships of today are very loose, very, like, skin level, like, like, top of the iceberg level, and don't have a lot of depth, of where, like, you could talk about whatever topics you want to talk about and know the person's going to be there. Most of the people are like, well, if you're not hitting my fancy, like, I'm gone, like, there's so many other people that I could go and be talking to right now. And I feel that that's a part to do with it, because good friendships take patience, and they take a lot of time to make into great friendships. It's not instantaneous. So I feel like that's a huge piece about why sadness gets thrown to the side. You don't want to go and show vulnerability to just any Joe Schmo on the street. It has to be someone that you've known for a long time. And even family, where you would think that would be apparent, it doesn't work, because, like, most, like, families today, I feel, have their own agenda. and they have their own things that they're trying to do. And being empathetic is not one of them. So you get into this like point of where you just feel that no one cares. And you go ahead through life with the, hey, like nobody cares here. Like, where is everyone, you know? So to tie this back into the movie, one of the parts that always gets to me is the last part. So like Riley runs away, and I think we talked about this in the front, so I'm going to make this brief. She runs away and basically goes on the bus and couldn't feel any of her emotions. But when sadness gets back into the fray, she like helps her feel like that she misses her family. And Riley stops the bus and gets off like before the bus goes on the freeway to take her back to her Minnesota or whatever, runs back to her family's arms. And the one thing I can say is that her family was very understanding. Yes, you know, like basically when she ran off, they thought that she was at school, and she didn't come back until probably midnight. I don't know. We'll have to like. I'm thinking it was super late when she actually came back, and they were worried sick, but they listened to what she had to say about why she ran away. And there was no punishment. Like, instead of a punishment, she got a hug. Now, maybe there was punishment later, but instead of punishment, she got a big hug. And the parents said that they understood that they missed like their old home too, and that, you know, they wanted to go back too, but they hugged it out, all of them. And it's something like that that always impacts me about that movie, because in most situations, the kids literally like either getting a stern talking to, sent to their room, like basically in trouble. Like, there is no listening. There is no, why did you do this? You know, there is, something's wrong with you. There isn't like, oh, this could be a family issue and let's figure out like what happened that caused this to happen. There's none of that. There's just a blame, and like, oh, you did this, so this is all you, and you have to go ahead and like deal with it. It's not my fault that you're like acting bad or whatever. Like, that's your responsibility. And that's, I feel, is what makes it so difficult to feel. If you feel that people don't care about why you do certain things inside your life, why you made the choices that you made, it makes it very difficult to feel sadness. It makes it very difficult to feel any emotions, to be honest. You know, makes it harder to feel. So, yeah, sadness is very important. Um, it is the language of, I feel, pain, emotion, and loss. And it helps you run through those emotions and basically get over them so that way you can continue functioning at your best. But you have to be able to feel your losses. And sadness is the tool that you use to do that. So, yeah, that's my full sadness rant, or whatever you want to call it.
Thanks for sharing. That was really nice.
Yeah.
So you can't sit with sadness is what you're saying, because does it manifest into depression?
So the deepest part of sadness, I feel, is depression. Yes. But depression, I feel, is
I'm
you.
talking for you.
Well, for me, when I did go into depression for a bit, and with depression, it's a self-feeding loop. Like, you've basically given up on yourself, and you keep finding excuses and like ways of keeping yourself in a perpetual cylinder of shame. Like, basically, it's like you dug a hole for yourself and you keep digging a deeper hole, and you keep finding excuses about why digging a deeper hole makes sense. So, yeah, um it's really bad. To get out of it, you literally need support. Support is the key to getting out of depression. Like, if you don't have support, it is impossible to get yourself out.
Is that why you don't like to sit in sadness?
I don't like to sit in sadness, because, well, of my aforementioned reason. There's a lot of reasons. But some of the major ones is that, you know, when you're sad, you can't do work. That's like a major one for me. Because in order for me to feel, like I have to sit there and like, feel. And that's always been like, I want to be able to function. Like all the other emotions, I can still function while doing stuff, you know. But sadness slows me down to a crawl and really makes it so that way I have to feel the emotion and go through that emotion. And like, I'm not gonna say it's a waste of time to go and feel emotions, but it can sure feel like that sometimes with sadness. Because sometimes I'm just like, dude, when am I gonna get through this emotion?
I
You
think
know?
with you, every emotion, like, I don't know if it's because of the fact that you never really like sat with it as you got older.
Mhm.
Every emotion takes time.
Yeah.
And it like you take a while to process your emotions. I see nothing wrong with it, but that's that's interesting. Like I'm the complete opposite. um Growing up, obviously, like, Kristen, like for me,
Uh huh.
no emotions were shared at all. So, the classic, go to your room when you're done crying, come out. Like, I've been through a lot.
Uh huh.
I have been through a lot. And it like amazes me how I went through all that I went through and kind of like suppressed it. And then, once I, met Trey, um, like, and I feel like it really kicked off like once I moved, because I feel like, Trey and like his family like they showed me like a different family dynamic
Uh huh.
that I didn't even fucking knew existed. So in a sense and in a way, Trey and his family helped me, like, and they're like very, very patient, like help me just like learn in this weird fucking way, like that you can express your emotions, like you can sit with your sadness. So then I learned all this, like, I guess, like in Virginia, because um like, and you helped me too, Creason.
Mhm.
But like the way that I do it is that like I just have this way of, it's like I need to go through the emotion in order for me to like continue whatever. Like it's
Mhm.
always been like that. So like if I feel sad, like I'm going to sit with it and I'm going to sit here and I'm going to figure out why am I sad? Or like, sometimes I can just sit here and I can just fucking cry for no reason. And
Mhm.
I feel like it's like a really good way for me to just like release whatever the fuck it is. Like I have so much sadness in me. And I feel like the emotion, I actually like, it's a weird, like I like sadness because like it helps me release. It helps me,
Mhm.
understand. It fucking taught me a lot. And then like, I noticed that, with the relationships that I had out there, and I was going about it the wrong way. And then like, my reaction to it was like, with certain relationships, it was sadness. And it was like, sadness helped me a lot. Like, why
Uh-huh.
is it that you don't love me? Why is it so hard for a relationship to be a two-way street? Why is it that, I'm trying to replace this relationship with that relationship? Like, sadness kind of like, I don't want to say saved me, but like it got me through a lot and it got me like thinking. And
Uh-huh.
yeah, like that is the whole, like, for me. So like definitely I feel like sadness is like healthy in a way. I'm trying to
Mhm.
teach my kids that too. A lot of the times, like I said, like I still have some of, yes, I'm going to say some of the toxicity that I grew up with, or like, you know, some of the reactions that, you know, sometimes I can see that my family gives and stuff, where it's like, oh, like, you know, I miss my dad, or like, oh, I miss Virginia. And then like, you know, sometimes I can see like my family tries to change the topic, and I'm like, no, like, you know, I take my kids to the side. I'm like, okay, let's talk about it. Like, you know, and then like we'll sit here and we'll reminisce. Like, yeah, I miss this. Yeah, I miss that. Yeah, I miss this person. Yeah, I miss that person. It helps my kids um go through that sadness of missing whatever, and having them understand, okay, after we go through that, it's when we go back, it's not going to be the same. And it's okay that it's not going to be the same, but it's okay to sit here and reminisce, right?
Mhm.
Those sadness memory, like it's like a sad memory, but in that same sense, like they're able to sit here and express himself and not like get triggered or not cry or like not suppress, because
Mhm.
I, you know, walk them through it. And it's fucking amazing. So shout out to Sadness, you fucking bitch.
Oh shit.
No, like it's so crazy because like just look, Creason, on like how many tears that I've shed.
It's funny because you told me that you ran out when you were in Virginia, and then you just started to start bawling here. So
Dude, it's just so crazy. No, like the one thing, I don't know if I've like said it on here. The one thing that I noticed, and you know, I'm gonna add a little bit more to like, you know, my part of the sadness, is that like um what's it called? Like when another person is sad, like what people don't understand is I have a very nasty, dark sense of humor. And like I sometimes like to like block myself, like again within myself, and like what saddens within myself, like I've taught myself. And you know, I feel like with my kids it's different. Like I can it doesn't affect them, but like
uh-huh.
if say like if Creason is sitting here, or even fucking Trey, if you guys are sitting here and you're bawling in front of me, it takes so much in me not to laugh. And that's not like in a fucked up way. I
Uh-huh.
don't know, it's probably like, you know, uncomfortable for me or whatever, but it's just like it any other person, um like it takes everything in me not to laugh. And
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
sometimes, yeah, sometimes I have to remove myself like from the situation, have a really dark sense of humor. Like again, I like to play with sadness. Sometimes Creason fucking does it too. Like we sit here and like I can like it's my way of coping, right? I can sit here and I can like joke around and fuck around like with, you know, my sadness, my trauma, and like it's a weird way of like releasing, and it makes me laugh. And like, you know, Crease and Poke, like we go back and forth. I've tried it with Trey. I crossed some boundaries, like, and he was like, stop. And I was like, oops, sorry. But yeah, it I have a bad dark sense of humor. But that's the only, I guess, like thing that I am working on. I don't know how to be there for someone. There's been a lot of grief, yes, in my family right now, and it's very difficult because family doesn't necessarily like express themselves. And when you like, you know, see someone like you, I can sense, you know, when, you know, obviously I can see like when you're crying, and I can like, you know, sense, and you know, people tell me stuff, and my instant reaction is just like I just like want to run to you and hug. But like the sad thing about it with my family, with my immediate family, the people that I live with right now, is you can't do that.
uh-huh.
It's really like it's fucked up. Like you can't do that. And um
You can't like
um
feel sadness, or what? What do you mean?
you can't like I my reaction, like say like if, you know, my sister's crying or like my mom's crying, like I can't just like go up to them and hug them and tell them
I
like,
see. I see. You can't be
yeah,
empathetic. Okay.
you can't do that. It was never shown.
Hmm.
And say like if it does, and this is where my response comes with, shout out to Trey's family that deals with this fucking amazing, you do too, and Trey too. It's like, if I'm in a mood, like, it's a hit or miss. Like, if I'm in a mood and like I'm crying or whatever, and like your dumbasses try to like put your hand on me, and I'm like, get the fuck away. Like, I just like instantly, it's like instant anger. Don't touch me. I don't want to be touched. Don't hug me. Don't tell me it's gonna be okay. That, I feel like that's where it comes from.
Mm.
It's all I know.
It's your knee-jerk reaction.
It really is. And the crazy thing about it is that right now it's like, um this fucking movie puts me in my feelings, because like, it's like I want to cry, but it's just like, I guess like internally, like I'm crying, and like outside I'm just like, it is what it is, dude. Like, the I don't know if you would call that a generational curse, whatever the fuck it is. It's
Oh,
gonna end with me, at least, like, with my immediate family. I sit here and I try to um uh like show love, like, with my nephew. Like, if he's sitting here and he's crying, like, even though like he likes to push me away, I've noticed that, like, he'll sit here and like he'll resist, and then like I'll just be like, okay, whatever. And then like once he calms down and stuff, like he'll tell me, and I'm like we'll sit down and we'll have a heart to heart. And it's just like, it's pretty crazy. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, I'm not gonna, have that with my kids. And um yeah, fuck, trauma dumping. Shit, dude, I've been through it though. I've really been through it. Like, it's crazy. I feel like every fucking day is like ayahuasca tea with my life.
yeah.
I mean, Creason's not even like in like the family, and like he has trouble processing what I tell him.
No, it's been harder. Definitely recently, because a lot is going on. It's
Oh,
not like
mm-hmm.
it's not just one or two things, like a lot's been going on. And I'm still trying to process the last thing that you told me, and then you stack on more on top of
Oh my god, no. It's yeah, it's to end with sadness. I feel like, you know one of the things that I've learned, and I've been saying this a lot with you, Creason, is the
it.
fact that I feel like I've gotten all, like, everything that I need from, like, the healing and like all the shit and
Yeah.
fucking shadow work and uncovering stuff that I didn't even know that I was suppressing and stuff. I got that, and now, like, honestly, I feel like it is time for me to, like, um take that, go to Virginia and just like
Yeah.
release it. It really is. And you
You
know,
know,
I love my family. I really do. I love them to death, but I feel it's very difficult to sit here and to be able to be like, I forgive you, with the toxicity still being there. I fucking hate saying it like that.
oh yeah.
You have someone that, honestly, I am trying to heal myself, and I do see my, toxic traits. I do see my knee jerk reaction, like you say. It's like the perfect thing to say. um and I've noticed that, like, I can like sit here and I could do better, and then it's like it takes that one thing, and I just like, it's like I go like 10 steps forward, and then, excuse me, I go like 20 steps back, and it's like, fuck, man.
Yeah, definitely understandable. There is one thing I want to add before we
Yeah.
close off with sadness.
Hmm.
The one thing I realized that when I was talking and while you were talking is
Yeah.
how little my parents actually showed sadness. Like when
Yes.
I was growing up, my mom used to go ahead and hide away whenever she wanted to cry.
Same.
Dad never cried at all, actually. Like through all the times that I have seen,
You've never seen
even
him cry?
I've never seen him cry, even with deaths and stuff. Like he would say someone died, but I never seen him shed a tear. The closest I've seen him like get
Mm,
to that was when he got caught, like, doing like infidelity. I think that was
mm,
closest that I've seen him inside like a sadness.
ouch.
Other than that, he has not been. He's been pretty stoic. And this goes for my grandparents. You know, I mean, I caught my mom crying one time, but she did that like when I think Zav did something. Like that almost got him kicked out, and that caused my mom to burst into tears.
Mm,
It's the only time I've ever seen her cry like in a public place. But for the most part, she doesn't. Like she's usually like pretty stoic, but she cried,
wow.
yeah, out of,
I didn't know that.
yeah. So that's probably another reason why I don't cry that much thinking about it. Um,
I will
yeah,
say that it's I I feel like with I guess you can say like with like a male and with emotions, it's very difficult. I feel like it's so disgusting, I guess, like for society to, sit here and be like, if a boy or like if a male like cries a lot, like he's a little bitch.
mm-hmm.
Um, I just, oh my God, I fucking hate that. Honestly, I feel like it's okay to show emotion, it
Mm-hmm.
really is. And, it's one thing that I love about Trey is that, like, I mean, it can take some time and like I can see that whole like I'm a man and I'm like shut the fuck up. I'm more mad than you, but no, but he, I will say that like it like brings me closer when I can sit here and see, Trey make himself vulnerable because the crazy thing about it is that even though like how opposite Trey and I are and how like different are completely different our backgrounds are and fucking chirons and different and shit, but it's the whole fact that I know that like big us is like protecting little us.
Yeah.
And like when, little Trey, like I get because I can see my husband's inner fucking child, like when he comes out and like I can see he's vulnerable and it's just like it's just like I can't even like I just want to like love, and that might make me cry right there because like I just want to spend the rest of my life with him. Fuck you, love. Like I caught myself because Trey and I have like I feel like we both can have like this like it's probably because we're parents too, but like this like I'm a bad bitch, like I'm like this like tough asshole type thing. And then when it comes to my kids, I you know kind of like what your well, my kids see me cry more than when you see your mom cry, but
Yeah.
um I try to I honestly do like I feel like my kids do um kind of like I don't want to say kill the mood but like take it away.
Mm-hmm.
um Good, bad, whatever, but yeah, I'm gonna end this with I feel like I will be able to like fully heal once I leave because of the fact that there is no healing when you are in the environment you were trying to heal from.
Yeah.
I hope that makes sense.
It
I
does.
really hope I hope it
That's
makes sense.
something that like I always say whenever like because that's what makes healing hard. If you're in the environment, it's very difficult to heal from it because they're always adding more to it. So
Is
how?
it
Yeah. So it
It's
makes
ayahuasca tea. I mean, we have ayahuasca, we have shrooms, like we have it all. We
oh,
have it all,
have
Creason.
it all.
We have
All
it all.
all all the drugs and the plants.
Yes. All the psychedelics. You want to hallucinate?
Oh my gosh, man.
Right? Okay. So now that's a wrap. Holy freaking holy moly. This is a long video.
Yeah.
The video podcast. The crazy thing is I still have more to it, but this is not a trauma dumping episode. Okay? Um all I'm going to say is that Creason, I am very very proud of you.
Uh-huh.
Uh Trey's not in this podcast, but I'm proud of him because I feel like you know, it's very difficult for men to sit here and acknowledge when they're wrong, acknowledge when they're toxic, and just like um receive tough love from a person like me, because I can be pretty like aggressive and I can like poke, and then you'll be like stop and I'll be like no. But I am proud of you. I really am, Creason, because like the Creason that you were when we first started the spiritual journey and the Creason now is just like wow. Like I've had almost seen you cry once, but the girl in the McDonald's like line ruined it.
Yeah, she did. Sucked it right back up.
Fucking bitch. No, I'm kidding. No, but
Right.
definitely very proud of you, Creason. Keep it up, dude. Keep it up. I feel like we'll get there. And then pretty sure Trey's watching this. Fucking proud of you. Shout out to you and everything that you're fucking doing. He's breaking generational curses, I feel, in a weird way. I feel like I am too. And one of the things that him and I had told each other and that we're working on is you know, that whole like it stops with me.
Yeah.
Shout out to you. It is now time for the card pulls, and I am pulling from my Gaia Oracle deck. I'm gonna start off with yours, okay, Creason?
Sounds good.
Okay. So the card that I got for you is Invocation, and the little quote says "Silent whispers of the heart."
Mm-hmm.
All right. This card confirms that you have a natural psychic ability that can be further developed and expanded. But in order to develop this innate gift, you must pay greater attention to your intuition. This
Mm-hmm.
can come in many forms. For example, it can be a gut feeling, an unusual or unexpected thought, or a subtle and silent whisper that seems to flow from your heart.
Mm-hmm.
Close your eyes and be aware of all you feel around you. The universe is alive. The earth and the nature are living energies. Whether you know it or not, there is an aspect of you that is in constant communication with all of creation. Therefore, also in an constant communication with everyone and everything.
Mm-hmm.
All that you need to do is expand this wonderful ability within you. Start to listen to your inner voice and learn to trust your vibes and natural instincts. You are about to discover a whole new way of being, bro. That's beautiful.
That is. Okay, so my reflection. Um, this card is about growth. Um, I think we pulled this like a few days ago when I was having some issues with actually listening to my guides and things like that, which has been kind of rectified now. But um, whenever I get into periods of high stress, um, I feel I distance myself a bit from spirituality, and it does cause me to lose sight of my intuition and things of that nature. It's kind of like a strange thing for me because control, which is a key word for both of us at this point, because like we both kind of like it just in different ways. Whenever I lose control over a situation, I have two responses. One is to work really hard, and the other is to just procrastinate. And when the workload gets over a certain threshold, I get into this state of just absolute procrastination. And anything that I do to try to get myself out of that procrastination is very difficult until I actually feel the emotions and go through. And then I can start listening to my intuition again a lot more clearly, because it's not clear whenever I fill my mind with the stresses, if that makes sense. To work on that and to actually become better at resolving and feeling my intuition, I started to meditate a bit more, which clears my mind a bit. Before I used to do video games, and you can't clear your mind as effectively with video games as doing nothing. Like before, I was like, oh, yeah, play a little bit of video games, it's gonna help, but it doesn't, because you're filling up your mind with, you're basically replacing one thing with another. Yes, it's not like the bad thoughts anymore, but it's still thoughts, so you're not really feeling. And I feel that that's where the issue lies when it comes to games, because you're not really feeling anything. You're just kind of there, you know, and replacing one bad with another. So, yeah, I'm getting better at it. I still I feel that I still have that, oh, I want to go play games weakness ever so often. It's a habit, and it takes a while to break. And every time, I get super stressed, it's like a, well, knee jerk reaction of where I would just go back and be like, yeah, I'm super stressed. Let me just go ahead and play something to get my mind off of it.
Yeah,
And, huh?
you disconnect.
Yeah. And feeling the emotions of that, is something that I feel will make me feel worse. So I'd rather just do something that I enjoy. And in some cases, I don't feel there's anything wrong with it, but in a lot of cases, there is, because there's healthier ways to actually deal with stress and listen to your intuition. Clear minds help listen to your intuition. So yeah, that's my stuff. So I guess we can get into your card pull.
Yeah, you can pull it up.
Yeah, so your card pull was remembrance, and it's resurfacing of past feelings and emotions.
Mm-hmm.
It is said that all we have is the present. While that is true, it is also true that, in essence, past, present, and future are one. We are connected energetically to both past and future. Life is an evolving story, and where we are now is a result of where we have been. This card signifies that past feelings and emotions are resurfacing from deep within you, and you may find yourself on an emotional roller coaster over the coming days. Do not fight it. This is all fine. It is important to occasionally remember and honor your past, for it is part of you, part of your soul's journey. Yet remember to honor every part of it, regardless of whether you perceive some parts to be good or bad. For in some way, every experience has helped to expand your understanding and appreciation of life. Occasionally reflecting on the past is healthy, just as giving some thought to your future is wise. However, excessive preoccupation with either only serves to rob you of the present moment, and that serves no real purpose.
Mm. It's a nice card.
It really is.
It really is. Um, Again, we pulled this what, the beginning of this week.
Yeah, I think it was like the start of this week.
Yeah, this is gonna be a long ass episode. Like, we pulled this in the beginning of this week, and I mean, I totally agree. Uh I literally said it in the last fucking emotion that we spoke about, is the whole it literally has everything to do with the sadness. And um there is, like, I feel like the thing, there is just so much trauma that I have. And not only that, there's so much fucked upness going on in my life. Um and I feel like I've went through my motions and I've been stuck in some places, and the great part about it is that the places that I was stuck, um I've sat with, and I felt, and then now it's like now I can sit here and let go of it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a whole bunch of fucking like um shit that I'm healing from. A bunch of emotions. Like I said, we'll do an episode in the future. I've been doing some deep trauma shit, and
Mm-hmm.
I know I shared it with you and Trey, the last one that I had,
Mm-hmm.
and there was stuff in that um I didn't even know that was there. And
Mm-hmm.
the crazy thing about it is that what shocks me is the fact that through like I've had, family members, sit here and say like you didn't go through trauma. Like you're just like a fucking bitch. Like you never went through trauma. You don't even know what trauma is. Like you
Mm-hmm.
don't know what, you know, I've been through. And then, I told you about like the trauma comparing and shit. But um it's just crazy because like throughout my whole life it's just like, oh, like, I've always been taught like what you go through is what you go through, and that's that, and like there's
Mm-hmm.
literally nothing to it. You just get over it. It's the reason why sometimes I say I'll get over it. But
Mm-hmm.
like what's interesting is that like I've shared so much with you, Creason, and like
Mm-hmm.
the night before I had done that, like the session, I trauma dumped on you.
You did.
And I remember you sat here and like, it was like too much for you to process. And then like when I would like I'm like I took little like I'd trauma dump and I take like a 2-minute break. Trauma dump again, 2-minute break. Oh, Creason, look, trauma dump. And you were the first person that had said, wow, like you've really been through it. And like to where like I can feel that like you mean like wow, like you didn't deserve that. You really like you've been through so much.
Mm-hmm.
You were the first person that has said that. And I don't
Wow.
know how to feel about that. Because of the Chiron and because of the fact that I it's the whole like, undeserving, like I don't like all eyes on me, and I don't the reason why like we when we sit here and like we talk a lot, Creason, and the reason why that like I take over a lot of the conversation is that I don't get to do that anywhere else. Like again, like
Mm-hmm.
um my relationship with my family is shit, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's the reason why I can like talk, like the reason why we can talk all fucking night, and the reason why we can lock in like 5 hours about like 50 different conversations
Yeah.
that you and I have, because that's one thing that we do have in common. I know that you don't have like that shoulder to like lean on or whatever, and then you are, mine, and then I can sit here and yak it off.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's the card. That's literally the card. It's the um things are resurfacing, things have resurfaced, they're at the surface. My inner child's up there, and I'm not suppressing anymore, and it's very difficult to suppress. And when I am like triggered, it's not necessarily me being triggered, it's the
Mm-hmm.
ayahuasca tea that's going on, that's like it's not directed to me, but like I can still see, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It takes me some time to process that shit, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's my card. Resurfacing shit, remembrance. I fucking love shadow work. That
Yeah.
was
Oh, I
I
wasn't
was being
expecting that.
I was being sarcastic. That was a bad sarcasm because it's 2 a.m.
Uh,
All right. So thank you guys so much for listening to this long ass episode.
oh
We're
yeah.
not sorry for it being long because we don't ever get to talk.
Yeah, as you can see, we can talk for hours. We had a lot more that we could say about this, but even I realize that we have to cut this short. This is much shorter. So I'm not expecting a part two on this at
No.
all. If we do get back to it, it's probably gonna like surface in other episodes, and I'll probably like reference this one if we ever like go into bigger, more expansive stuff.
Yeah, definitely, because of the fact that Crease and I have like a bunch of like movies that I fucking love, movies that we can like reflect on and cry on and shit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but this one was a huge one. This one was a doozy. This one, it's a good thing we didn't get it all like in one, because in the beginning of doing this episode, I was in my feels.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually like cried when I was watching Inside Out and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. Um, if you guys can, wherever the fuck you're listening to us, subscribe.
Yeah.
Follow.
All that good jazz. Yeah, we definitely need it. I mean, we hit our goals
Yes.
for lives, but I mean, we always like have new milestones that we're trying to get to.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess this time it's just trying to get like, a great amount of followers. So yeah, like yeah, the thing keeps moving forward. As of this recording, we haven't done any lives yet, but we are planning to do like our
Yes,
first one in the
definitely.
future.
Yes.
So look out for that. That's gonna take place on TikTok. If you guys had it, we're on at Random Spirit Podcast on TikTok, I believe. Right?
Yes. 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 Yes.
Yeah. So Instagram is something completely different. I don't know if we're gonna do it on there, but I know for TikTok it's a certainty.
Yes, it really is. But thank you guys again. I keep fucking repeating myself. Thank you so much for listening. Our fucking handle names are in the description
Yeah.
box to this thing. Yeah, close it out, Grayson.
Yeah. Well, always remember to love yourself, guys, and until next time, bye.
Bye.